Call this meeting of the Baker County Board of County Commissioners Budget Workshop to order. Thanks for everybody being here. I don't think we have any speaker cards tonight, or this evening. Just a robust crowd. Commissioner Mobley's out today with his wife, so as they birthed their child. So we're just 4 of us here today, but we'll work through our budget as we go. If y'all will all join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this time. Lord, thank you for watching over us, Lord. Thank you for the care that you've always given Baker County. I pray that you continue to bless this county. I pray for a blessing of wisdom and understanding for all the commissioners here today and all those partaking in this budget workshop, Lord. I pray that you give us the knowledge we need to address the problems before us and address the future needs of the county. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How many thousands of times I've done that, and I'm just gonna sit right down like we don't need to say the pledge. That's too funny. I know. Can't believe that. Brooklyn, on the spreadsheet too, it didn't even occur to me until recently that we did not cover the maintenance budget at the last one. We quickly got through recreation, I think, but I don't think so. That should be in your packets though, in the old format. So if you guys want to quickly, we can go to the maintenance and then go to that one if that's okay. So at the very end of your packet, Brooklyn has put all of the spreadsheets in like a PowerPoint presentation, so you won't have to flip. Like if you'll just start at the beginning of that and work your way through, you won't have to worry about finding each one. Yeah. But just before that, we should have a maintenance one. I apologize, I did not catch that the last time. So. So in your packets on the previous budgets, facilities maintenance should be right after where we left off at our last meeting. We stopped with recreation. And so if you flip forward more in your packet, Commissioner, I can help you look for it if you need me to also. It'll be under the previous format one, but and then we'll go into Brooklyn's PowerPoint. Sorry about that. If anybody needs any help looking for it, let me know.
Do you know what color it might be?
It's lime green in mine. It would have been right after recreation and then right before Shoals Park. If I can help y'all. Okay. Yep. And then you should be one more right here. Yep.
Maybe
And then if you go to the front. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We should have notated it for you. Should be one.
Right, I was looking in the green ones now.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Got it.
Sorry. I was
All right,
close.
show me where I'm at.
We can do that. Let's see. Some
Okay, mine was yellow. I was looking.
And one more. Flip back to facilities maintenance. All right, you got yours, Commissioner? Okay, good. There you go. You got it. All right, sorry about that. We did not catch that until, like I said, it was too late and all this stuff. It had been put together. But just for the sake of time, we've got a lot of budgets to go through today. So I am going to cover all of the remaining BOCC departments. And then Brooklyn's going to cover all the ones that she prepared as well. So if you see anything out there that's got one of our department head names on it, I've asked them to be here in the audience, but I'm going to try to work through those for us. So if you guys are okay, we'll start with maintenance. We ready?
That's good.
All right. So under facilities maintenance, we'll start with just the first tab, which is operating expenses. And if you will take a look at that page. All right, so we are adding some overtime to this budget that is not currently there. Again, only a small increase of $5,000. We do have projects that come up from time to time where staff gets called out after hours for emergency repairs. Just this past weekend, Shannon actually had some tree limbs that need to be taken down, some gutter work on several buildings on this block. And ideally, it should not be done during normal business hours. So he actually came in on a Saturday morning and did those things so that, the public wasn't there and moving around underneath where he was working at and things like that. So minimal charges each year, but it is something we'd like to start tracking and show what those numbers are actually costing us. So moving on down into the next line item also is professional services. We did add that amount in there as well. Again, this is just contract type services that it's very specific things that we're not doing in-house. We have, on the occasion to call plumbers or electricians and things like that, and just making sure that we're accounting for that appropriately as well. Contract services, communications, water are all the same, no increases there. Repairs and maintenance on the department budget, has been increased up to $5,000 as well. Just keeping up with the trend on expenditures on that part. And then we've got, sorry, I need a piece of paper to help keep track of this. All these lines start running together after a while. Keep losing my place. All right, so added again to that repairs and maintenance, the $10,000. That one, I'm sorry, it stayed the same on that line item. Next line item is our repairs and maintenance on the Giving Back to Baker program. That stayed the same at $5,000, but that's the program that we run through the probation office. So any of the equipment, lawn mowers and weed eaters and things like that that they use to help maintain the courthouse facility, we do provide that for them. And so this line item would just, help them with any repairs they might have to that equipment. Let's see. Vehicle repairs and maintenance still stayed the same at $4,000. Operating supplies at $9,000 had no increase. Fuel at $10,000 had no increase. And then there is some capital outlay that we'll go into as long as there's no questions on this specific page. No, that was fast, but I said not a lot of changes specifically to this one except for just minimal personnel related items. Any questions on operating?
Not yet.
All right, we'll go over to capital. The request that's in the maintenance budget this year is a new vehicle. This would be a replacement vehicle for Shannon, the director of this department. We have budgeted $60,000 for this vehicle. So we have looked at several quotes. One was a diesel 2500, but Shannon really doesn't do a lot of pulling or hauling with his specific truck. We have vehicles within the department to do that. So that's there just for informational purposes. I know you guys have asked about that before, but for the purpose of what Shannon needs, we believe just a 1500, pickup truck would be fine. And right now, the quotes on those, and this was actually a package that had a tow winch and all of those things that Shannon does use from time to time, especially when he's out like in Shoals Park. Yeah.
Bars and stuff like that.
Yeah, things like that. An actual maintenance type package that is on that one is at $56,000. So we believe the $60,000 should be adequate for the upcoming year. Shannon's truck has been, honestly, it's been in and out of the shop since we bought it. I think it would be very, very close to being qualified as a lemon. We've put a transmission in it and just honestly everything that you can think of on this truck. It's been in the shop at least twice a year with significant repairs, and it's only a 2019 or 2019. So this is one that, like I said, it's beginning to cost us much more money than necessary to operate it with the repairs that we've done on it. So it's time to replace those things.
With the life expectancy of a diesel vehicle being so much different from a regular gas vehicle,
Yes, sir.
I don't know that it's not worth doing the 2500 with a diesel and expecting a life expectancy of 10 years.
Yes, sir.
So
Certainly.
I
Right.
don't know that getting the cheaper vehicle is the best thing that we can do.
Yes, sir.
Question I have is on the vehicle, did it have a tool bed on it, or it's just a straight?
I couldn't hear you.
The tool bed, this one had the maintenance box package on the back of it, or no? I
No,
don't think we
it
have.
does
We've
not.
already have one of those. One of our maintenance tech position has one of those that we got last year. So this would just be a regular, pickup truck.
Yeah, and I would be interested in seeing what it don't have to be a 2500, but they do have diesels in 1500s, and just to see what the difference in cost would be.
Okay.
Mhm.
I agree with this man, we get almost half the life more
Yeah.
with a diesel than you do with a gas.
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
So it would be worth it.
Yeah, okay. Well, the 2500 diesel is only a $12,000 increase from now, so if you guys wanted to increase that from 60 to 70 and go with, you know.
For me, any commercial vehicle that you buy
Mm-hmm,
for staff
Mhm.
should be a 2,500.
yes, sir.
Just for the case when maybe we want to get another truck, that truck will be handed down and can be used for towing and everything. You could have buy 1,500, you limit yourself for future.
Yes, sir.
I mean, the only thing you can do is basically just like, it's great for the road, people who don't work.
Yeah.
People who work need it to $20. My personal opinion.
Yes, sir. Certainly, we can do that increase if you guys would like to see it, you know, be a diesel. We could increase that to $70,000, I think, and still
That would
be,
be
okay.
my suggestion, and then I think Commissioner Mann believes the same, but you
Yeah.
got two other commissioners.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
100% agree with the commissioners. My question is, does the 72 grand, which is about a $16,000 increase, does that include the things that you need, the additional items?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I believe when you go from, 1,500, you're still looking at $10,000 increase
Mhm.
with a 1,500 diesel, so you might as well go to the
Yeah,
2,500.
I agree.
So we can use it across the
Mhm.
board.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Okay, we can make that notation to increase to $70,000 on that line item. And then Shannon, refresh my memory, when we talked about your truck, we would auction your truck off. There's no
Yeah.
intention on keeping that. We've got the equipment that we need in the department, and like I said, the repair costs have been so high on that one, it would be one that we would dispose of once the new vehicle was purchased.
If it's a lemon, we definitely don't want to hear.
No.
So we
Shannon
don't
can-
want to increase it to like 73,000? Your estimator says 72,000.
Well, that was for the 2,500. If we went with a diesel just in a smaller vehicle, I think that would be
I
okay.
think 2,500.
You want a 2,500?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Then yes, sir. We probably would need to go to 75 then.
Yeah.
This is a real truck on a lot. This is not us shopping it through the state contract. So typically we are able to find those vehicles a little less than what they are already advertised. So if we did $75,000 and shopped it next year, I think that we should still be okay with that.
Perfect.
Okay?
Okay.
We can do that. 75,000 instead of 70. Okay. All right, and then on the personnel side, there should not be any changes other than the 4% increase on those departments. Those are employees that are active. We do have one vacancy at this time, but again, we're not proposing any policy changes, just the annual 4% that we're proposing across the board. And then if you flip to the very last page, that is our summary. We have gone with a $24,000 budget increase. Even with that vehicle, obviously we'll have to add the increase to that. But as the budget currently sat without that change, it was a 6.78% increase. So we will make sure that we add that $15,000 increase in the truck cost and readjust this budget.
What am I missing?
That's what she's talking about. Will
Yep.
be 35 instead of 24.
Yeah, but where did we go down 28,000?
He had some large capital purchases last year, and then also, I think that's all it was. I think it was just a reduction in capital purchases from current year to what he's asking for now was less.
Under the personal services, the minus 28,301. See what I'm
One of
talking
your
about?
employees have insurance it doesn't have now?
Uh,
No?
no.
I'm gonna say I don't.
I don't see where it.
I don't see it, that's what I'm asking.
One second. Let me look. I'm sorry. I don't have those pulled up the full backup on my. Show have had that up already, so I could look at that.
See one position vacant, the maintenance technician, and that's still
I,
vacant.
I can't hear you.
Just bad as I am. Maintenance technician, I see it as vacant, is it still vacant?
Yes, sir.
All we can on filling that position.
Yes, sir.
Yes. It's advertised currently, Commissioner, we just haven't filled it yet. It's a recent vacancy. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to, get that maintenance budget pulled up so I can look at the rest of the information on why that personnel services dropped.
And not right now, obviously, but when you have time, will you send that to me, please, sir?
Absolutely. All right, let me look at it here.
And my number is like $100,000 different, what they have.
What was your, I'm sorry, I couldn't.
My number is like $100,000 different than what I'm seeing on here. You do your thing, we're waiting,
Yeah.
I'm not rushing you, just.
All right. So. Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that a little bit more because we've
Okay.
got people with insurances. That's not changed. The vacancy still is listed with insurance, so that wouldn't
Sarah,
cause
I
that
could be
drop.
wrong. If you
Mhm.
look at the last page under operating expenses,
Mhm.
if you look on the second line, operating cost. So it looks like you took last year's and accidentally put it under current year budget, the 73,720, and then budget request. That it should be, you took the budget request for the personnel expenses and put that on the same line item. Hold on.
So which one are you looking at?
Hold
I'm
on.
not seeing that.
No, that's,
Yeah, because that prior year request should have totaled the 73,720. Is that what you're looking at?
yeah, no, that's correct. I was looking at it wrong, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. Okay, that looks like it's just an error. So on the one that I'm looking at, that's the final, it actually is an increase in $18,634 in operating expenses. I'm not really sure. Maybe this was accidentally an old version that got printed. So on the final one that I'm looking at, personnel services totaled $299,568.90, which was an increase of $18,634.90, or 6.63%. Operating is correct, but that grand total budget difference should be, like I said, this does not include the truck change, $70,984.90, or a 20.02% change. So I apologize. There may have been an error on that personnel tab or something that we, I guess, found after the fact. So But we will correct that and make sure that it reflects the $15,000 increase on the truck as well.
So we're looking at $85,000 increase,
Yes, sir.
basically.
Yes, sir. I will make that change on this one real fast and tell you.
With 60 of that being the new truck. How often do
15
we?
of it, 15 of the new truck, and then the other is the including the 24 for capital outlay.
I think she added part of the truck already.
She
She
added
did,
60
yeah.
of the truck.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what is the total increase?
Yes, sir. It is. I'm gonna add the truck in too while we're talking, okay?
That's what I said. Total.
Yeah.
How often do we need to buy a truck for this department? Is this something we?
Not very often, no, honestly. We bought some new trucks back in like 2021 and those are doing great. Like I said, Shannon's is a 2019 and honestly, I think if we had not had so many issues with it, we would be looking at, keeping, he does put a lot of miles on his because he is back and forth all over the county all day long, probably more than, the other trucks get used like that. I said the cost, Shannon, you've put a new transmission, a new front end, it's been,
Yeah, 20,000 miles, they put a torque converter in it, so.
yeah, 20,000 miles, yeah. We had several things that were under warranty that were, like I said, the truck's been an issue, unfortunately, since the start. All right. So I made that change with the truck. The overall budget increase, including the $15,000 for the truck increase, is $85,984.90. That's $85,984.90. Total increase is 24.24%. And like I said, we will make sure that that is updated correctly. Apologize about that.
Okay.
But in theory, if we weren't buying the truck, it'd only be about a 10% increase.
Yes, sir.
Be more along the lines.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Anything else on this budget? Okay. All right, if you guys will flip, Brooklyn has done a great job at kind of consolidating everything to the very end of your packet. There is going to be one new file that starts with the agenda.
I didn't see that until you said so.
Yes, sir. Starts with the agenda page.
Thank you.
And it's just going to go in order. So we won't have to flip and look. From now, like I said, if you'll just keep flipping, these are all going to be in order from now on, from how we go. All right. First one is Shoals Park. And we're ready if you guys are. Okay.
Let's
One
go.
of, one of the things that I want to point out on Shoals Park is that we only operate on revenue that Shoals Park collects, right? So there's no general fund that supports this budget at all. Over the last few years, the fees that we're collecting from the timber harvesting have slowed down because we've gotten to where we are not cutting as much as we were in the early days, right? Like, because the whole park needed widespread timber management when we first started that. It was not being done at all. We had that, outbreak of southern pine beetles, and that's where we got to where we are today. So that revenue that we get from timber sales has reduced a little, not, drastically, but it is something we need to be aware of. So the budget that you guys are being presented today is a very close to true number on what the revenue is received after expenses. So even though we do get some revenue from the park, we obviously have to do that herbicide and replanting afterwards. So that is an expense as well. So you'll see that this budget reflects a true revenue collection versus expenses. So if we want to talk about just future of Shoals Park and bringing in any new amenities or things like that, we've got to talk different revenue sources because, like I said, this is very close to accurate on what we're getting from those. I will say that even though our kiosks have been down, we're in the process of a new provider for that. So that could take into account in some reduction of, fees that are collected there at the gate. However, we've got the cash payment on site, and then we do a lot of internet sales. A lot of our passes into Shoals Park are purchased through our website, and that has not been down at any point in time through this process. So there may be, when you see those kiosks back online, you may see a slight uptick in some people that maybe got there and didn't have the exact cash or whatever and left. But again, I'm just not sure that that's a lot of cost. So you're gonna see this budget actually is decreased. We had quite a few capital expenditures and equipment that we've done over the last few years using some of the savings account money for Shoals Park, and that's why we were able to do those. But this year, like I said, we are not asking for a lot in the Shoals Park budget. Like I said, it is an overall reduction of $92,570. There are no personnel costs in this, even though we have staff there. They're all contract people. So if you will, operating cost is where we'll start on this budget, and we will go over that. And that is the only cost in this department. There's no capital as well. So we'll only be talking operating. On the very top, the salary for our park ranger, again, that is a contract service through the sheriff's office. That is a deputy, and this does include his benefits and all those things. So we pay that full package for that park ranger. And that has increased to $90,000 from $83,900. And that just accounts for a 4% raise, and then insurance, FRS, and all of those things that we calculate. Like I said, this is just a full benefit package for that person. And then also we have our collection site, our gate attendants. They're under the same contract as our collection sites, which is why I say that. So again, this increase from $18,000 to $25,000 is simply for the increase in minimum wage and any insurance costs. They don't have county insurance, but that's workers' comp and liability that the contractor has to provide. So again, minimal increase on that as well. Those gate attendants do work the park Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 4 hours each day. So that's where those costs come from. Other contractual, this is our pine prep that we do each year when we do a harvest. So like I said, that's that aerial herbicide spraying that we do, and then the replanting. We do not expect any increase in that cost. Again, we typically keep the tracts of land that we're harvesting or thinning each year very similar, so the $60,000 did not change on that part.
So we spent $78,000 there last year. We don't anticipate it being that high again?
No, sir. We had some that we replanted due to some flooding a couple of years ago, and we decided last year to go try to replant that area again, so that's why you'll see that increased cost. But we've already had our conversations with our forester this year, and we believe we're close to that same $60,000 anticipated cost this year. Electric stayed the same at $6,000. That is for any of our bathroom facilities and our camp post. So you see that's still within the range there. We did not offer any increases on that. Repairs and maintenance, we actually reduced that from $20,000 down to $10,000. Again, we've done a really great job at getting some things back up and running the way that they should be over there, so we just don't foresee those costs being quite as high. Same thing on the repairs and maintenance for vehicles. We were able to purchase a new truck for the deputy that's out there in current budget year. That vehicle that he was previously in was getting very repair heavy, so we were able to replace that. So we did offer a reduction from $7,000 to $1,000 on that, just because he's got the new vehicle. We only anticipate oil changes and tire rotations throughout the year this year. Moving down the list into operating, there is no change from $5,000 in current year to $5,000 in the upcoming year. We've had some fluctuation in expenditures, over the last couple of years, but like I said, we still felt comfortable with that number being the same. And then fuel was actually reduced from $3,000 down to $2,000, just kind of more in line with what the expenditures were looking like there. In previous year, we did have $60,000 budgeted for a barn, and that has been constructed on site, and that project is complete, but we do not need any additional purchases for that. So that line item has been reduced to $0, which is a big bulk of that reduction that you'll see. And then also we have zeroed everything out for buildings, improvements, and grants, equipment, and all of those types of things, just simply they're not needed for this current budget cycle. And then our operating procedure for this park does show that we keep a contingency reserve set aside, and that has increased from $14,000 to $15,000 in current year. And like I said, that's very close to accurate on what our true income is after expenses. So we feel pretty comfortable with this one. Again, we are still working with the National Park Service on a grant for the signage that needs to be done there. We do not anticipate any county match for that, and that project is still moving through We've been working on a site location for the signages and lists of signs and all sorts of things. So we expect that hopefully to be funded in current year, and that will take care of that one big project that we had planned for the park, but at no cost to the county for that. So if there's any specific questions on Shoals, that is the summary on the operating cost.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
Sarah, I'd like to address a couple things at the park. One, and maybe we didn't have funds in it before, but whenever you go out to the Shoals Park, there's a good bit of the fencing that needs some repair. And so I would just like to ask if we had the money and do that, maybe because a lot of it that I seen was just a matter of being re-nailed or re-screwed, just repair some minor things I'd like to see. And secondly, being a revenue-driven operation, I would think that it would be important that we have a method for people that show up there without cash to be able to pay. And I've mentioned it a few times, and I realize that you can pay on the website. My issue with that is a couple things. If you show up to that park and you don't know that you can pay on the website, there's no way for you to know that. There's not a sign there. So I feel like there needs to be some sort of signage there that says, hey, if you another method of payment is super easy. The road department can make the sign. I'm not sure what the hold up on that is as far as let's get something out there. Let's get a QR code. Let's just get a sign out there with our website on it and saying, or even on your envelopes, when you have your envelopes remade, when you run out of those, I'd like to see something there. I went there maybe a half a dozen times, and it was at not times where the attendant was working, and so there's no way to pay if you don't have cash. A lot of times I don't carry cash in my pocket, so I'd like to see that if that's something that we could do.
Absolutely.
I
And we
feel
are
like-
finishing up that new kiosk procedure so that you won't have that issue in the future also. You'll have the ability to pay at the gate without using cash as soon as that project's wrapped up.
Well, maybe we could invest $20 in a sign, even if it's only going to be there a month. We'll get our money back in 4 or 5 visitors. You know what I'm saying?
We can check it.
So I'd like to see that happen. And then the last thing is, do we have in our cost? Do we offer maps for the park?
Yes,
And is that already included in the cost?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that we state that we keep out there, the maps?
Yeah, we try to keep them out there, yeah, but they go pretty quick.
Sure. So maybe do you need where I'm going with that is, do we need an increase in your operating costs so that way you can copy more, provide more, so that way we don't run out of them?
I mean, it falls under operating. I think we're still
Yeah.
within budget. We do that here in-house. So it's a very minimal cost to be able to do that. Yeah, it's
Okay.
just keeping them, like Shannon, we put them out. We actually put them out at all of the convenience stores in the county as well that will allow us to do that. And within just a day or so, they're usually gone. But we try to make those.
So maybe
arrangements
every
come out.
Monday you go out there and fill them back up, or the site attendant. I don't even see where it's your job, but maybe the site attendant every weekend keeps it full.
Yeah.
Because I've yet to be out there and there be a map there.
Okay.
I've never seen a map there.
Okay.
Not to say they not.
Right.
I probably went the only days that they weren't there. So that's not what I mean, but I'd like to see those. If we have the money for that already allotted, if we could, let's make sure we keep those full for the new people. I mean, this is our gym, right? This is what we want to attract people to our county.
Yep.
So let's see what we can do to make that better.
Tenfold.
Thank you, Shannon.
Just to add 2 cents worth, I like the QR code idea of having where you can call up the information on your phone. My generation probably is not prone to that, but younger people, that's what they rely on, is those phones and having those QR codes. And if they have scan the QR code to pay, they'll do that rather than use the kiosk. That's just the way society is today. On the contingency reserves, do we typically use that contingency reserve, or?
Not typically. If not, it stays in the Shoals Park budget as a savings account, and that's how we've been able to use that over the years to do those big capital purchases of, the barn and tractors and things like that. So no, any money that's not spent from this budget, if there's any carry forward, it stays in that Shoals Park revenue account.
Okay. That was all I had. Moving on.
All right, you're done. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right, up next is community development. Alright. So you'll see from the summary page that's on the front, we've got an overall increase of this on this budget of $29,788.28, or a 4.33% increase, which is pretty good considering insurance loan is 15. So doing pretty good so far. If we're okay with that, we will start with operating expenses. Okay, that should be your next sheet. All right, so first, overtime, we're just going from a $1,500 increase to a $2,000 increase. So overtime with some of our admin positions is not something that gets used frequently. We typically offer comp time first, but oftentimes having that person out, so, you know, we had that problem here that where, you know, Kayla may work commission meetings and then she may need to take comp time later in the week. But if we've got a busy schedule and covering the front door may be a big, you know, maybe an issue for us. So on those situations, we would offer overtime pay, and it's the same in LaDonna's office. So if, you know, someone's working, you know, the LPA meeting, and then
Those
that
are generally on Thursdays.
right,
so
right, and it's hard to use before the end of the
Yeah.
budget week. So if LaDonna's got a busy week and maybe we're already short a permit tech out front, having that person use comp time again may be inconvenient for the department. So of course our first go-to is comp time. We try to offer them time off for any time after hours that they work. But again, like I said, we do run into that from time to time. So just increasing that to reflect a little more close to the cost of it that it's actually cost us over the last few years to do that. And then also, the next item is the building official and inspection services. This is Mr. Brian Hickenbotham.
These two funds are actually, those are swapped. So his is, the building official and inspection is the 144, or 143,433. Just the
The entire line of swap?
yeah, just the
We're
notes.
currently at 137,917, and you're
Yeah,
saying
so-
that 143,433 should go up to that
Yeah,
line.
so previously those have been together.
Okay.
And so they're just separated out here. So, and yeah, the,
And then that would leave other contractual the same at $200,000. Just that
Right.
one column looks like
Right.
it needs to be flipped.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so
those-
other professional services, like I said, Brian's currently at $137,917 dollars. Excuse me. His contract does get updated annually, and typically he has some type of minimal cost of living type increase. Fuel charges and all of those types of
It's
things
a-
go up each
It's a
year.
4%.
Yeah,
He
so-
went with 4%.
Yes,
just
so
like-
you'll see that where we'll get that corrected. So his increase, that line item should total the 143,433.
So only them two numbers?
Yeah,
on the swap.
those numbers look like they need to be
Yeah,
flipped
they
around
just
then. Okay, all right, we'll make
swapped
sure
there.
that gets done. And then the next line item is other contractual, and so this is all of those other consultants that we may use, which is a big one right now is our EAR and comp plan amendment. That one does stay the same at $200,000 once we make that adjustment. Travel and per diem, the same at $1,000. Communication, the same at $2,400. Slight increase in postage, just because those mailing increases, happen annually from the postal service. So from $1,000 to $1,250, just to account for that increase in the cost to mail items. Electric has stayed the same at $4,600. Water the same at $700. Rentals and leases the same at $2,300. And this would be our copy machines and postage machines and those things that they use inside the office there. Repairs and maintenance has gone down from $12,500 to $5,000. A lot of what we've spent over the years are on AC units, and you're going to see that. We'll talk about that in capital a little bit. So that is a reduction on that line item. However, we do got some AC units we need to talk about changing out this year. Vehicle repairs and maintenance have stayed the same at $1,500. Again, those vehicles are in good shape. We've got a new vehicle that's less than 5 years old. Like I said, just normal, oil changes and tire rotations are all we expect for that. There is one older vehicle that we use in that department, but again, it's a secondary vehicle. We only typically use that.
We actually
Oh, that's
traded
right. We
that out
transferred that
last
one to
year.
maintenance. That's
Yeah,
right. I'm
we
sorry.
transferred that last year.
Yep, so just the one. So we transferred that other vehicle out. That's right. Advertising stayed the same at $9,000. Again, still adequate with what we've spent over the last few years. Recording fees, we have seen an increase in that, so we are requesting an increase from $1,900 to $3,000. That just really goes with the amount of ordinances that are recorded, and oftentimes the size of those documents as well. If they've got any supporting documentation, you pay per page on those things, so that's where those increases would come from. And then refunds, we've stayed the same at $5,000. We've kept that one. That is one we probably could reduce slightly. You know, with our trend, it's been very low over the last few years, but again, we kept that one the same. But if we wanted to see any further reduction than we already have, we could reduce that down a little bit more. But again, any questions on operating?
Well, there's another.
There's a
Yeah.
second page.
Yeah, and on this page, I should say. I say, any questions on operating for this page?
I personally think the refunds, you need to get it closer to expenditures.
Okay, we can work on that one. And like I said, we really have very little, but if we do have a, you know, a larger application that would be refunded, I mean, we could always do a budget amendment later if we needed to. But we could reduce that down to even probably $1,000 and still be fine.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say if we put that down to 1,000, we should be fine.
Yeah, the highest you've had in the last 2 years is $63.
Yeah,
Yeah,
been
yeah,
very
it's
minimal.
not common.
Anything else on page 1 of this one? Okay. All right, so office supplies stays the same at $5,000. So has operating and fuel. Operating is at $5,000 and fuel's at $750. Taxes, fees, and credit card fees. So this is one, honestly, as we get through the process, we probably could see this reduce since we changed this vendor. Before we were paying those fees. And now we are going to be, you know, having the user pay those fees. But again, we left this the same because we have not gotten in depth in that process yet to really see what those rates were.
We've got it at 0. We've got credit card fees at 0. They're all rolled over now.
Okay, on here it's still $3,500.
No, that's
That's on that wrong one.
Oh, okay, I see that now. I apologize. Yeah, so that's taxes and fees. Yes, you're right. $0 on the credit cards. I read that all as one line. All right, books, memberships, and publications still the same at $1,700, and training still the same at $1,000. And then, of course, we've got some capital purchases we'll talk about. Like I said, those are some air conditioner units. Office furniture, we actually didn't request anything for that this in current budget year, but we do need to add a little bit. That's just for some new office chairs and, you know,
we
things
got
like that.
1,500 in there is what we're.
Yeah, in current year, you don't have anything. You're adding
Yeah.
1,500. That wasn't
we
one that
had-
was included.
We had 1,500 last year too.
Okay, we can check on that. On this one, it
Yeah.
shows nothing on office furniture.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I think we had it listed in capital last year.
Yeah, you may have.
Maybe we
yeah.
had it listed in capital last year.
Mhm.
It might
And then
have been.
software and licenses has been reduced from $15,650 to $3,200, and that's due to the changes in what we're doing with our software now. So there was an original kind of a lump sum fee that cost more because we're doing the conversion and the onboarding of the new software, and now we'll be in this upcoming budget year we'll be transitioning into just the annual maintenance. So that's where you'll see that reduction at. Okay. Any questions on page 2 of operating?
I have one on office furniture.
Okay.
I can't grasp this.
Okay.
So 25, you spent that. Then in 24, you spent that.
Mhm.
And now you're saying this budget year we have 1,500. Then
So-
we're going to have 1,500. I mean, how much office furniture do you need?
So the last 2 years, we did a whole lot of office rearranging. There were everything upstairs is used for storage. So a lot of that has been shelving and stuff like that in order to store everything. So it hasn't necessarily been desk and chairs and that type of stuff, but more shelving, cabinets, things like that to store the house plans, permits, along with all of the applications and stuff, because we have to keep all of those
Right.
for so long. Previously, they were kept outside, and we have like a back.
Just an outdoor.
Or the
Yeah, it's like an
overhead
outdoor
station.
storage, and things were getting damaged, so we've had to move that inside, along with moving some of those offices around so that things just flow better and people can get in and not
So
have
you're
to go
saying you
upstairs.
purchase them as needed instead of purchasing at one time to get enough room?
We did, because we did not know originally how those offices were going to lay out.
What do you expect in an upcoming year, LaDonna, that you'll still need?
There is still one room upstairs that's gonna need some shelving up there. And that should finish that out.
Commissioner, do you want us to see a reduction in that line item to maybe something a little less?
We kind of did it over time as we needed it, instead of ordering and then ending up not needing something or it not working where we thought it was originally going to go. So we did it a little bit each year instead of all at one time.
Personally, I visit this building quite often, and there has been a lot of changes, a lot of improvements, and most of the improvements I've seen has all been customer service friendly.
So that things
better
flow
service
better.
customer. And $1,500, from what I'm looking at, it's, one year they spent $259, and one year they spent $1,237. What I don't wanna do is see a budget amendment, because we gotta buy 4 office chairs. It's called,
Right.
we didn't put enough money in the budget. It's not like they got $1,500 in there and they're gonna use $1,500 just because they have it.
Right.
And their trend has shown that.
Right.
So I'm in support of leaving it in there, because I know that the needs for the storage and getting everything from the outside back inside, and from the trend that I've seen out of the office, is showing that you don't spend the money just because it's there, you spend the money because
When
you
we need it.
And I don't wanna be sitting here and doing simple budget amendments on small items at this point. So I'm comfortable with it, just from the trend that I see.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that part. I just wanted to understand why we had
Right.
15
Right.
and then
Mhm.
15 again, if we're just purchasing, those
Like a
items. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been as we've made those modifications to make adjustments.
Right.
There, 2 years ago, there was a new desk because we did have a new staff member, so.
So with it,
Yeah.
the 26 had the 1,500 in it. It just got left off.
I think it was part of the capital.
instead
It
of
was
Okay.
part of the
Instead
capital,
of
not
Okay.
listed
Okay.
on
That's what
office
I want.
furniture.
What I'm seeing
Yeah.
for
Okay.
it is a cleaner, it looks like a cleaner budget list. It's actually showing the expenditures they're spending and the dollars coming out of capital where it should be.
Right.
It's just probably something that I'm sure Brooks doing, is cleaning all this up. So to me, this is looking better than what we have been looking at in the past. Because everything's
Absolutely.
clean on what we're actually spending and where we're spending it, not in just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on operating? All right, we'll flip to the next page, and that is capital purchases. We have 2 units, one upstairs, one downstairs in this building. They are very old. We are working on them frequently. It's very difficult to find parts and Freon that goes in both of those units. So this past year, I think we've done about all we can do to save those units. And it's time to program some money to replace those. So you'll see that we do have $15,000 programmed in capital, and that's for both of those units, not each. So $15,000 total. I'm sorry, $15,000 each. I'm tired.
And just
For a
Shannon
total of
and I
$30,000.
looking at some numbers, over the past 3 years, we've spent about $15,000 out of the 2 of our budgets in repairs.
Trying to keep those
on the 2
running,
ACs. And one of them is in worse shape than the other. And it had to have some pretty big repairs this year, and we were without it for, I don't know, a week and a half or 2 weeks
Yeah.
because they had a hard time getting the parts that we needed.
LaDonna, where did we get this number from?
That was from Shannon, just an estimate what he's seeing that size unit go for. So it's not a true quote, but that's just the trend that he has seen them going for, so.
Any questions on capital?
What is included, just the AC change out, is it duct cleaning, duct service?
I think it's just a change out.
Yeah,
of-
that I think
yeah.
is just for the change out.
Yeah.
Well, that's an old building,
It is.
and I would be concerned if we didn't look at the duct work, if we're gonna be losing some of the efficiency of the new air conditioners in the existing duct work. So I think if we're gonna go to the extreme of replacing the units, we need to look at the duct work also, just to make sure. I
Okay.
ain't saying change it.
Right,
If there's any
right.
repairs, cleaning, or anything needs to be done to the ductwork, this is the time to do it during the change out.
We can do that. We can have Shannon go ahead and kind of take a preliminary look now. And if it's something that he sees there be, you know, some type of problem that would require more than what we've got budgeted for it, we can bring that back to your attention.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you're gonna put brand new air conditioners in and you got a leak somewhere, you're losing the efficiency of the air conditioner.
Right.
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
Fix it.
We can check on that. It's a good point.
Would it be a bad idea just to get a quote before we approve this to make sure that we're in line? I'm not trying to take away from Mr. Shannon, I'm just
Yeah.
asking.
Well, he would base that off of the quote he's got. We've replaced other units in current year,
Right.
so that price that he's
Yeah, we
telling
didn't,
us is
have- this
based
may
on-
not be a formal quote for us, but just
Yeah.
talking with him, that's what he's seen when they've replaced other units that were the same, so,
In years past.
in current year.
Current.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We can double check that, Joe, just to make sure that it's not anything that's too old.
I think it's a great idea, but I don't want to put any more burden on our people, but I just feel like it'd be, most of your local AC companies could probably give you a proposal in an hour, you know, come and look at it.
Yeah,
I think it would be a good idea just to make sure we're
Well,
Problem
on.
with doing
you-
that is if they come in and give you a proposal for, on.
Then
on
they
the
already know
budget
your
side,
price.
I think now that I think
they're
about this, the
giving up
last
their
time we did that
numbers on
repair,
what's
they
gonna
gave
cost
us a
to do it,
quote
and
to
then
replace
got
it, and we
come in
chose to
bid the
repair it at the
project
time.
later, It creates problems.
You know
I think the
what,
last repair that
Understood.
we had
So
done,
you
yeah.
have to be careful on.
I think they did give us both
Yeah.
options.
Yeah, and I'm almost certain now that we've talked about it here, that the last repair that we had, that LaDonna spoke about with it being a week and a half, they gave us an estimate to replace that unit at the time, but
most
we
of them
decided not to do that. We decided to repair it and try to get one more year out of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I said typically Shannon would talk to a vendor about that. Like I said, it may not be a true, I'm ready to purchase it day, you know, so it may be a
Sure, I
little
just want-
increase, but yes, sir,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And not to take anything away from Shannon.
Yeah, no, we understand. We want to make sure we've got good budget numbers. We appreciate the
Most
questions.
of the time, they're pretty spot on. because
Good.
When it comes back to us,
Mhm.
usually it's a little less.
Good.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah, we
pretty
usually try to
close.
budget a little higher than what we think it's gonna be, but not tremendously. Okay? Anything else on that page? If not, we will switch to personnel. Again, no changes outside of what we've discussed across the board, 4% raises, health insurance, FRS and FICA as normal, increases across the board. So you'll see those budget totals. We can go into detail, but again, there's nothing specifically different about this one than any other department we've spoke about. Okay. So unless there's any personnel questions, that is it for community development.
I have a question, but I'm not sure that you can answer it right now, but I would be curious, how close are our permit fees to our budget costs?
So I can actually give you I got this from finance 2 weeks ago when we were originally gonna present. So far this year, if you take out the school board impact fees, because really those are just passed right on. 2 weeks ago, we had, our revenue total was $386,589.79. And like I said, that was 2 weeks ago. And that was from October to current. So we're a little less than, or right at half, probably right at half of our total budget there. And with a couple months left, I'd say probably 3/4 of the way by the end of the budget year.
Just a question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, good information to know. Any other questions about this one, Commissioner?
I think we're ready for the ship.
So SHIP is an easy budget discussion. It's actually a reduction. Again, this is grant money that is received to the county every year in the amount of $350,000. The state dictates that we can spend 10% of that overall money on the administration, the running of that grant. So you'll see, overall, this is a reduction of $9,551.52, or 25.44%. We will go into the operating line items for this one as well, and just go down the list quickly. Other contractual, there are no costs to this department for those services. I'm not really sure, honestly, why we've got some of those high expenses in previous years. I know that Brooklyn and Lydia and LaDonna have went in depth over this and cleaned up and kind of reorganized, where some of these expenditures are going, and so some of it you may see reflected on that. Again, moving all the way down to admin services, we do have $7,592.76 programmed for that. Advertising the same at $700, recording the same at $2,100, office supplies $600, that's no increase, operating at $400, which is no increase, and then our software license actually does have a decrease from current. We are currently at $9,068, and our new year is $5,220.04. Again, that's just a reduction in what it costs for that annual maintenance agreement for that software that she uses.
Last year it had went up because we added the module for the CDBG
Right.
grant.
One-time
so it had went
purchase
up
of
last
that.
year, and so that's why you see that difference.
Okay. Any specific questions on operating?
So you're saying the line item 2025 contractual, like those large numbers, those are typos, or because you said that they've already cleaned them up? So do we know why those amounts are so high?
Yeah, Brooklyn would probably be better suited to answer that question. I know there were a lot of questions about what was coming from those accounts versus the way that we have it set up
I
now.
want to say, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say it was something to do with the probate, maybe? Don't they have, didn't we hire, some attorneys to do some work in?
We did, but that would have been
Yeah, that
very
wouldn't have been out of
minimal
this.
cost,
that
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's only $10,000 a year
Mhm.
that we have set aside for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a typo, but I can look into it.
Yeah, the previous years,
Mhm.
Like, because your
Yeah.
actuals in 24 and 25 range from 600 to 700,
Mhm.
and then you're requesting only 16 grand.
okay, so this is,
Well, that makes me wonder if we were actually charging the construction of the homes under those line items, Brooklyn,
it
instead of
could have
under the
been.
admin.
So, yeah,
That's
so
more
this
than
that
likely
you
those
see,
amount, yeah.
it's, the admin fees are a percentage of that total that we get each year. So
Yeah.
previously, that could be what it is,
Those
is you
numbers
were
would be
seeing
close
some
to
of those
off, yeah.
construction costs in here, and
And again, you would only spend
Yeah.
dollar for dollar on that. So
Yeah.
we don't have any homes under construction right now at this moment, but I think she's getting ready to do some bids. I think maybe the first of the year. I want to say, I'm not sure. But those numbers in the actuals, especially that 305, 210,
that has to
370,
be,
all
yeah,
of
that has
those
to be-
are how much we get annually, and then oftentimes we have a little bit of cash carry forward, or if we have someone that pays back a portion of theirs, we might have a little more than the $300,000 to spend. So just in looking at it without digging deeper, I would say that's the cost to actually build those homes in that year. But again, we'll look at
But we
the
can
way
look into
that's-
that
yeah.
and get you
That would be
an
wonderful.
answer.
If
Yeah.
I'm not asking too much.
Yeah, no.
I just think from our history of our budgets and our spread, I feel like
Absolutely.
we need to be diligent in making sure the numbers are accurate.
Absolutely.
Because then, guess next year we're sitting here doing the same thing,
Yeah.
Right, right.
and we
Sure.
don't want to push it under the rug. We don't want to just blow it off. So
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We can make sure that we are looking at what we think we're looking at. All right. Anything else under operating? Okay, if not, we will flip forward. There are no capital requests in this budget. And so we will go down to personnel. Again, Miss Lydia is our ship administrator, and half of her salary comes from this budget and half comes from LaDonna's budget on community development. So this is just 50% of the cost to keep Lydia there. Again, increases were for a 4% pay increase, and then increases, like I said, across the board in FRS and FICA and all those others. But there are no other changes other than the ordinary increases. But we can answer questions if you have them. Okay.
Miss Sarah,
Yes, sir.
the health insurance under there
Yes, sir.
increased from 3490 to 8,000?
I think it's populating the whole thing there. So
Oh,
my
which line
number,
item?
yeah, my number is a little different. So my number under personnel personnel
Mhm.
is only 27,427.83, not 30,477.
Okay.
So I don't
I'm
know
not
what the
really
difference
sure.
is there.
I wonder if it maybe, did you have the new FRS rates and the 15% increase on health insurance?
She should.
I
We should have
thought
been
it-
using that other budget
Yeah, I
spreadsheet.
thought it
Yeah.
was. I just printed the sheets. I don't have the actual.
Over 100% increase?
What number are you looking at, Commissioner? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
This number here. In 25, you had actual 2895. The year before that was 3954. So you're ranging between 28 and 4,000, and this year you're asking for a budget of $88,000.
I think it's taking, instead of 50%, I think it's taking the entirety
Yeah, that's what it
there.
kind of looks like. Maybe Brooklyn in
Yeah.
previous years, we only charged half of her insurance in this department, and then maybe
Yeah.
it looks like it's charging the full amount this year.
That is probably what it is.
Yeah, okay. We
Yeah,
can look
so-
at that as well and make that adjustment. Yes, sir.
And that would be the $3,000 difference that I have, so,
Yeah.
yeah. My personnel request on this sheet is only 27,427, with total expenditures at $44,040, so.
That's most likely what it is. I'm sure it's just calculating that at 100% insurance rate instead of a 50%. Because she should be split
Okay.
between each department, so we can look at it.
Okay.
Okay, all right, Miss Brooklyn, you're up next.
Come on down.
So for courthouse expenses, I'm requesting a 15.15% increase. And that's all operating costs, no personnel costs. So just going through, $0 for other contractual, it's always been zero. Communications, I decreased it by, oh, I'm sorry, if you switched to an operating. Decreased it by $100 just based on the prior 2-year averages. These are just NEFCON bills for phones. And then electric, it's a $1,000 increase from the previous budget request of $65,000. Once again, that's just based on previous year's numbers. In 25, we only spent $61,000. In 24, we only spent $63,000. So I thought $64,000 was a good in-between number there. Water bill, once again, just based on prior year averages. Repairs and maintenance, this is really the driver of the 15% increase. So last year we requested $60,000. But if you look at 24 and 25 actuals, we spent a lot more than that both years. The AC maintenance is $15,000 and billed quarterly, so that's the $60,000 that was requested last year. But we have a lot of other things besides just the AC maintenance. This includes pest control, the lawn out front, landscaping, cameras, and security items like that. So that's why I increased it just to the exact prior 2-year average, which was $89,000. And then operating supplies, I decreased that to 6,500, just based off prior year averages. The prior to year average was 6,300. Equipment, $3,000. This was a decrease as well, just based on prior year averages. So everything was decreased except for the repairs and maintenance, which, like I said, included the AC maintenance and then lawn and all other miscellaneous things that we need for courthouse maintenance. Any questions on that?
Does the,
I don't have a question, just have a comment.
Okay.
On the 89, 918,
Yeah.
89, can we make that $90,000
Sure.
for budget purposes?
Yes, sure. Like, I just made it the exact
You done exactly
the 2-year average, but yes.
perfectly.
We could round it.
Perfectly fine. I'm sure between this year and next year that there's gonna be that much of an increase.
Yeah, you're right.
For a commissioner that looks at a bunch of numbers all the time,
Mm-hmm.
rounding them off.
Yes.
For the CPAs are different.
Yeah, we're not as good as you are looking at the numbers.
Yes, that makes sense to me.
Just
I'll
on the
change
bigger
that to
picture,
90.
just a small.
Yes, gotcha. I'll do that. And then there's no capital outlay for that.
does the maintenance service and everything of the courthouse generator come in this budget somewhere?
So we have a couple different funds that do things for the courthouse. This one does not have the generator maintenance. That's in, I think,
Should be court facilities.
court facilities, which is
Yeah.
Fund 119. So we'll go through that too.
So the fuel and everything for that would be in another budget?
Yes.
Okay,
That's under your restricted fund.
okay.
The next is the circuit court. This is requesting a 12.89% increase. Once again, no personnel cost there. And this is just solely based off of the circuit court's budget request, which I included on the next slide. After that, this one. So this is just the email they sent me. I didn't put too much thought into it. I mean, just because it's just exactly what they requested. They had their operating expenses, alternative sanctions coordinator, purchasing tech, information systems department, and pro se court or case manager included in there.
And we're so lucky that Florida statute says you've got to pay that. So we just get a request from them and we put it in our budget. A lot of these court services, you'll see that. There's some type of guideline that says the county is responsible for it, and that's why it's included in your budget.
Yeah.
Another question I have is I see the trends, and the trend has never even meet the $80,000 mark. And now they're requesting a $10,000, basically a $10,000 increase, and we've never even met the $80,000 mark.
Yeah.
On the previous, so.
I agree with you.
Is
I'm
there any
not.
type of justification? I know that we have to do it.
Yeah.
There should be some type of a justification they give you on why they're increasing it $10,000 when they've never even met the balance we've already got.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was something to do with IT infrastructure. I know there's one of those that we pay. I could go back and look at the email, I guess, but I think it was something to do with IT infrastructure that was due to the increase.
Yeah, they do have the information systems department. They have it at
Mhm.
37,000, so that sounds pretty
Mhm.
high to me. But yeah, I'm not completely sure. I guess all we can do is set this apart in our budget in case they spend it, and then just, it seems like historically they haven't though, so that's good for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Sarah said, by law, if we're required to set it apart, then I guess we have to.
I think they're pretty aware also and try to be conservative in what
I'm
they're
not saying
spending
that
each
they
year.
won't
Yeah.
spend it. I'm just saying.
Why ask for so
why
much if you're
ask
not?
for
Yeah.
it? We've never spent what
Mhm.
we've already got, and so why ask? Now, I can see if we were running 79,000 or something like that, and we needed to boost it up.
Yeah.
The closest I've seen to the 80,000 is 67,000. So that's $13,000 more than what the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Just a
Is that
question.
one that Karen sent in, Brooklyn? See if I can
I
find
think
any more detail on it.
I don't have written down who sent that one in.
Yeah, I don't either, and I'm not seeing it, but it's a good question, Commissioner, but I'm not sure we've got a good answer today
There's
on
probably
it.
an answer, and there probably ain't nothing you gonna do about it, but it's just a question that I have.
It's a fair question for sure. So are we good to move on to guardian ad litem? So, this one I decreased by 2,700 about. And this was also just based on a budget request from Kathleen McGriff. She is their HR and budget liaison. So she just sent me email, which I also printed out and attached, where she just said that they only really needed about 1,000 to 1,500 for operating supplies. So for their operating supplies, I put $1,000. And then communications, electric, and water is all based on prior 2-year averages. The increase mainly was on electric. Last year we requested 3,500, but based on prior year averages, it looks like we spend closer to 6,000, with the prior 2-year average being 5,900. So that's why I increased that to 6,000. Also, equipment last year, the equipment request was 5,350. I put that at 0 this year because I spoke with Clint, and he said that he worked with them to get all their equipment replaced last year, so they shouldn't have any new equipment needed this year.
Yeah, we did new computers and a scanner and a printer, I think, in current year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be good. And we do provide the space for this. This is actually in the other half of the building directly behind us, which is partly why that electricity bill is so big, because it's kind of a large space, even though it's very few people that are in there working. But we do utilize a big portion of that building for storage as well. So the need to make sure that the air conditioner and things are running is important, as we do. Several other offices actually keep some secure things in there for storage.
Any questions on that? Good? Okay. Now moving on to economic environment. This was an 18.68% increase from last year. And this is, I think, solely budget requests from outside entities. The only thing that I believe we didn't get a budget request on was the National Association of Counties, and that was just the same as last year, and it was also the smallest of $656. So if you'd like, we can go through the budget requests. I have them all attached in the slideshow. The first one is the Florida Association of Counties. This was $2,995. Last year they asked for $3,060. So that's not too big of an increase there. Then the next one includes 3. This is budget request number 2, economic environment budget request number 2. The expense GL name is Christian B. Doolin and Associates. I think. Oh wait,
It's our
I'm
county
sorry.
lobbyist, yeah.
I'm sorry. This was Chamber of this. If you look on your budget, you'll notice I have there's multiple line items that might correspond to one budget request. So this is budget request number 2. Clint, if you switch them to budget request number 2, yeah. You'll notice how 3 different line items are on this one request, and that is the Chamber of Commerce membership and support, membership dues to JAX USA, and then North Florida Economic Development Partnership. These total to $22,336. Then the next budget request, number 3, is from the Choose Baker Economic Development. They're requesting $45,000. Last year they requested $30,000, so that's a $15,000 increase on that one. Next is the sorry?
Excuse me, they've been at 30 for 3 or 4 years?
Since it was created, it was at $30,000.
Then they
And
upped it
want
to
a
45 this year.
50% increase?
Did they send a justification?
This is the letter that they sent. And it even addresses us as historically the Chamber of Commerce has requested $30,000 annually.
Yeah, there should be the letter there in your attachment, Commissioner.
Yeah, it's
There
their
it
letter
is,
is in
right.
there.
Again, you know, Brooklyn's just programmed this in as she's received it. So some
Yeah.
of these that you do have the flexibility on, they're obviously open for discussion for whatever. you
Yeah.
all. I said the court ones are the ones that you're mandated to pay, but these that are these outside entities, we are opting to participate in most of these. So they're obviously for discussion on these.
Yeah. And it doesn't look like they gave too much of a justification. They did just acknowledge that they previously always requested $30,000, and it just says with the establishment of Choose Baker Incorporated. It says we believe our organization will be more effective and proactive in supporting existing industries while also recruiting new businesses and investment opportunities into Baker County. So.
Yeah, it says that that they'll no longer be requesting the chamber will no longer be requesting the 30,000, but they just changed their name essentially and went up 50% on it.
Yeah, we pay
Like
the
the
chamber
woman.
directly for that, and they've separated Choose Baker into its own little
Yeah.
organization. Yes, sir. So.
Yeah. Moving on is the Small County Coalition. They requested $5,350. This is a small increase from their request last year of $4,850. And I think that was actually all of the requests. So all those requests total $101,874. And the previous year request totaled was $85,836.
I'm not sure a 50% increase in Choose Baker is
Yeah.
where we need to be.
I can reach back out and ask if they can provide more justification on why they're requesting that.
Yeah, because we want to be a good partner with them, but
Yeah.
justification would be great.
Yeah. Okay. Write that down.
Do we fund just the Chamber of Commerce differently than we do this?
Do we fund the Chamber of Commerce differently? Is that what you said?
So that's the one just above that on the Chamber of Commerce that
Yeah.
she's got her backup number 2. So those are, previously we paid Choose Baker directly to the Chamber. It was just lumped in with that same line item. But this year, since they've separated it as its own, organization for cleaner transparency, I think on their end, they've separated that out. But like Commissioner Mann said, it was always $30,000 in previous
Right.
year. Yes, sir.
So I don't mean to say, I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
was just trying to make it sure that we're paying 16.5 to the Chamber.
Yeah, we are. That was budget request number 2.
And
Yes,
Breaks
sir.
that up.
They're requesting another $15,000 above the 30,000 for Choose Baker.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
But so on that line item with the 16.5 that Commissioner's talking about, wouldn't that be 46.5 for the last 2 years? Because you're saying we're pulling the 30 out of that line item and putting it down, so
Yes, sir.
So it's not-
Where you see the 16.5 currently, even though on our budget, it's always been separated. Like Choose Baker's always been shown, I think, as a separate line item. We paid it directly to the chamber, and they
so
paid
it's always
it.
been split on ours.
I believe so. Yeah, I think they requested
these
it
are
in
all
one letter,
separate
yeah.
GLs that I pulled the history for. So this is,
Right.
yeah, these are all
Gotcha.
accurate numbers.
Mhm.
Makes sense. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the changes on their end were how they're receiving the money and being
And I
on the
agree
grid.
with
Yep.
Commissioner, there needs to be some type of a plan, justification, or some kind of something that we're getting for, not what Baker County's getting for that extra $15,000. Because for 3 years, 30,000 has been a substantial contribution to this organization. And I think that the people need to see what we're getting for, bang for our buck before we agree to pay another $15,000.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll email and ask if they can provide us some more justification on that.
Yeah, and so far the Chamber did a great job of giving us a bang for a buck. So we're not trying to push back on him, but that's our due diligence.
I definitely support the chamber, but that's a big increase. We need justification.
Yes. All right, moving on to human services. This is a 10.7% increase. This is a mix of budget requests as well as just other operating costs that I've used the prior 2-year averages to estimate. Starting out with indigent hospital care, that budget request is just the same as last year at $10,000. The gas for Council on Aging, $1,200. This was just based on prior 2 years, but I guess there was 0 in 24, but in 25 we spent $1,200, so I felt like it would be safe to ask for $1,200 again this year. Utilities for the Council on Aging service building, $5,000. This is a $400 increase from last year, but also based on the trends I was seeing. I saw in 24 we spent $4,500, and 25 we spent $3,900. So I felt like $5,000 would be a safe number. Electric was a pretty big jump. We have 2 electric lines. Looks like maybe one of them got cut off. These are probably for separate buildings, I'm assuming. But once again, it's a pretty big, looks like a pretty big increase. But if you look at the actuals, in 2025 we spent $17,000. In 2024 we spent $12,000. So I don't think the budget request of 2026 of $2,800 really made sense. So that's why I increased that. Once again, electric again. This was a $1,000 decrease just based on actuals too. Last year we requested $17,500. Repairs and maintenance, I requested $7,500 just based on actuals. Last year we spent almost $9,000, but we only requested $5,000. So I felt like that needed to be increased. Once again, repairs and maintenance. These are all just based on actuals. Last year we spent $15,300, so I felt like it would be safe to put $15,000 again. Next, repairs and maintenance line, $700. Pretty well corresponds with the prior 2-year actuals of $500 and then $670. Indigent medicine was no longer funded, so we requested $1,000 last year, requesting $0 this year. The Medicaid and nursing home, I added thought I added some notes on what that was. I think it's like a decrease that the state takes, I want to say, from like payouts that we get. Oh yeah, it is a state required reduction to the county's half-cent sales tax distribution. So that's just a state required expense. And then I just based it off prior year actuals again. The prior 2-year average was $527, but I only put it at $500 because if you look at my 2026 annualized, that is just what we spent so far in 2026, and if it continues on that trend, I projected about $483, so that's why I thought $500 was a good number for that. And then Council on Aging, this is per their budget request. So they requested $150,000. Last year they requested $140,000, so that would be a $10,000 increase for them. And if you flip forward, you'll see a copy of their budget request as well. And then Meridian, that was also based off their budget request, and they requested $67,692.
That's one that's state mandated that we have to fund their request.
And then the health department match, this is per their request as well. They requested $66,000 for dental and primary care, and then $36,000 for a vehicle purchase. This was a pretty big increase compared to their request of $66,000 last year. And they kind of did write some justification in their letter, if you read it, that they're installing a security system on the exterior of the building, and that they're going to have to remove some trees that are disturbing the sidewalks and parking areas, so that way those security cameras will be more efficient and can actually, I think, view the sidewalks and the parking. They also mentioned that they made some significant investments this year by replacing the flooring at a cost of $120,000. So I think that's sort of their justification for requesting more this year.
Well, their tree removal have already started in this budget year. Because I went by there.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Oh, and I'm actually just now remembering one of those repairs and maintenance, I believe the $15,000 one, that got cut off here, that's the repairs and maintenance for the health department. And I think it did already include some trees being cut down.
Okay.
And that's also why I increased it from $1,000 last year, because I know that we'll have to probably cut down some more, it seems like, because that's what they're requesting.
So the $15,000, you believe that one's the health department one?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
I actually think I have it here too. Let's see. Yeah, that is the
Okay, perfect, thank you.
health department. Okay, and then Episcopal Daycare, they requested $1,650. They requested $1,500 last year, so it's only a $150 increase for them. I included a copy of theirs too, I think. Yes. And then the ARC requested $7,500. This is the exact request that they requested last year. Firewatch no longer funded, so that's at 0. And then the Hope Center is a new request that we haven't had in previous years, and they requested $10,000.
Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I elaborate on that one just a little bit more? On the Hope Center, we've actually talked about that here in the board meetings, when we've talked about our opioid funds and how we might be able to help the Hope Center. So the opioid funds can be a little inconsistent, honestly, on what we see. Like, we've got notification that our year 4 is actually going to have a reduction in it. So because in previous years we have budgeted on average about $10,000 for the Firewatch, they have since, in this current year, they've gone out on their own, and they don't need that funding from us. They've actually been able to secure that funding in other areas. So I know that the board's intent was to try to help the Hope Center on a more regular basis. And so since we were not funding that Firewatch at $10,000, that's the reason why we put them in this. It really goes in line with the other requests in this department, and it gives us a more consistent funding opportunity to be able to help them, so the opioid money can be a little inconsistent from year to year. And so we're really changing Firewatch out with the Hope Center from this budget, removing one and adding the other. And that would go towards that van and the fuel and all those insurances we talked about before that the county helped them with previously. That would offer them some consistent funding to be able to maintain that program.
The only question I have, if we put the $10,000 budget here, what about the funding need if we do get the opioid funding?
It is an automatic reduction each year over the next 18 years, and so we are funding those 3 programs already: the paramedicine program, the ROC program at the hospital, and Baker Prevention. So as we progress through the next 18 years, that funding is going to drop. So those 3 programs need to be more self-sufficient if we're going to keep those. So really adding a 4th to that funding that we know is already on a decreasing schedule, and we're already seeing that the decrease in year 4 is going to be more than what we anticipated. So adding that one to the opioid funding, like I said, we would run into a situation where for year 4 we're going to have to choose which one we would like to continue funding. I don't think there's enough money to do all of those.
That's what my question was. Maybe I didn't make myself clear.
Yes,
I know
sir.
we had 4 on there that we were helping.
Yes, sir.
So this would bring the down to 3 that we're helping. This funding would go straight to the Hope Center.
Yes, sir.
And then the other 3 would be able to fill the opioid funding as long as it was there.
Yes, sir.
Are we still going to help the Hope Center through the opioid? That's my question.
Right. Through the opioid funding, no. We've only helped the Hope Center with the van under one of those initial years because you got a bunch of money in the first few years for your capital purchases. So yes, sir, we helped the Hope Center through that one. It is our intent to continue to fund those other 3 programs, at least to some degree. It may not be 100% moving forward, but yes, sir, we would continue to fund those 3 remaining and then the Hope Center through here so that we could try to split the money a little more evenly.
No, I'm definitely in support of
Yes, sir.
supporting the Hope Center. If
Yes, sir.
we want to help our citizens get back up on their feet.
Absolutely.
And then that's part of what we should be. We should be funding. So
Yes, sir.
I think that's a very nice.
Yes, sir.
I just want to clarify and make sure that we just still helping the other associations also.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is our intent to continue those programs, yes, sir, at least over the next We've got 15 more years of funding because we're about to start into year 4. We haven't paid that one out yet. So right now we still have 15 years left.
All right. Well, we can continue on to legal aid, law library, juvenile trust, and driver's ed. That seems like a lot, but this is actually a 0% budget change. And all of these funds are fully funded by court fines, filing fees, traffic violation fines. So at the end of the year, what happens with these is it just gets trued up to where the revenues equal the expenses. So really, this is kind of no cost to the county because it's all funded by fines and, like I said, recording fees and things like that. So we can look at the operating costs. It's pretty cut and dry, but I decided to just keep the 27 budget the same as the 26 budget request because, like I said, it's just going to get trued up at the end of the year to match revenues and expenses. And then I think that's all I had, as long as you don't have any questions on those.
I have a question.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
On the one that we just, back to human services,
Yes,
I only wanted to ask, and if you said this, you don't have to re-explain it to me. I missed it. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
There's 3 different line items that are repair and maintenance.
Yes, okay, that got cut off. I didn't realize that until now, but those are for different entities. The $15,000 one is the health department. And then the $7,000, let me see.
You should have 2 COAs in there also because there's 2 separate buildings. That may be what the other 2 are
Oh,
for.
that is probably what the other 2 are. So it's 2
Yeah.
that are,
You've got transportation and the Senior Life Enrichment Center.
Yes.
Those have different.
yeah, so it's different
bills, yeah.
buildings. That's completely my fault
Yeah.
for it being cut off. I don't know how I did that.
It's not a problem at all, because the first repairs and maintenance, we're at, our actuals for 25 was at almost 9,000, and you're only requesting 7,500 this year. And so that kind of threw a
Yeah.
flag up, and then even the 25 actuals was at 15.3 for the next line item. We're only bumping it up to 15.
Yeah. Well, keep that in mind too. They've moved out of that old building downtown that was very repair heavy.
This was
into
one
the-
of these, was the old
yeah,
building?
into the new. There'll be some overlap there from
Okay,
the old. to
then the
new.
last question we can move on is at the ARC North Florida. So
Uh-huh.
in 24, we requested 75, or, excuse me, we've been requesting at 7,500. In 24, we spent 7,500. 25, we doubled that
I see that.
at 15 grand. And then you're only requesting 7,500, like,
Yeah, so I just based that off their budget request. I wish I remembered what that
I think it
$15,000
was a double
was.
payment. We missed a payment one year, and they had a double
Oh.
payment, maybe.
Yeah, that makes
They've never
sense.
increased it like that. So I'm thinking that maybe we missed something and it flowed into the same budget year for 2 funding cycles.
Yeah.
maybe.
yeah, in their letter,
5 at one time and went to 75.
Yeah, so they're very consistent at 7,500. So
and
it's
their
gotta be-
letter still shows 7,500 still.
Yeah, it's got to be 2 payments that we made in one budget year, I'm sure.
I think it was 1 year we had to double, but
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah, we must
Yeah.
have paid 2 years and one, like, just got the invoice late.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
if I
Thank
remember
you.
correctly, I think you're
Sorry
right.
about
Yeah.
bringing us backwards.
exactly, okay.
No, you're good. I said, I
Okay.
appreciate the question.
All right.
These budget spreadsheets are wonderful.
Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't
Compared
have
to the
these
way we've
earlier.
worked in the past,
Yeah.
this works.
Okay, I'm glad you like them. And I know the original Excel sheets were kind of confusing too. They were really small, so I was like, I need to figure out something that's easier to read. So I'm glad you like them.
This works.
Great.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brooklyn.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, our next budget that we've got on the list is tax collector. Yes, tax collector. Make sure I'm right on my list. And so I know that was emailed in to us, but it's not going to be in your packet. So if we could maybe just take a quick break. Kayla's working on printing them for us, and then we'll have them. That way you guys can see what Amy's in here to talk about.
Yeah, they're saying tax collector presentation.
Yeah.
Animal control. You do animal control? You are doing animal-
Yeah, if we could take just a quick 5-minute recess, let's stretch our legs, and we'll get Kayla to
Didn't
print
that the
those for us.
state gave you that now?
We'll take a 5 or 6 minute break.
While they're doing driver's ed driving, they'll check for that.
And you're live.
Call this meeting back to order. Next up is Ms. Duggar.
All right, thank you, Chairman and Board. I'm Amy Duggar, and I'm here to present the tax collector's budget. I think I've got y'all straight to the justification sheet, and that's kind of what I'm going to be going through. That means everything else in the budget has been exactly the same. This is for any increases or decreases. Should be about page 10, Mr. Hartley.
Keep on going. There,
Okay.
I'm there.
All right, so the first line item is, well, first of all, let me just kind of start off with some good news. So we've got the projection on what the unused fees to be returned to the county will be, I mean, barring any unforeseen circumstances, but it's going to be about $110,000 this year out of the tax collector's unused fees. So, but going
great
through,
news.
yeah, going through just any changes to our budget. So the first line item is our salaries, and I included that 4% raise at the direction of the board. There is also some funding for a kind of an overlap employee. We have one that is going to be leaving in a few months after the birth of the child, and so we would like to get somebody in there a couple months prior to get just for a seamless transition, if that's possible. But other than that, on these next 4 or 5 lines, FICA, retirement, that'd be official employee, senior management, and drop. Those are all state guidelines based on the 4% raises to salaries. Same thing with the life and health insurance. That's at I did do the 11.7% increase because we are later and we get to know the exact one. So that I didn't put 15%. I put the actual increase in health insurance. Other, that was a decrease. That's some of our lawn care, window cleaning, janitorial services, those came down $470. And other contractual, that increase was due to our tax support for our property tax software that we use. Communications, I did a $300, that's phones. We've had some, the basic bill hasn't went up, but every once in a while we have to add a line or have some work done. So I just added that in. We've had to do that the last couple of years. Postage has increased. The amount of mail outs that we do has increased. So I went ahead and increased that accordingly. There is a postage worksheet on this that breaks that all down. And then legal advertisement, it's hard to determine that because that's based on the fee that we get every year to advertise parcels for non-payment of taxes, and that all depends on how many parcels we have and what that fee is every year per parcel. Usually I just take that to what it was last year. So that increased, that $23.45, you get that back or the office gets it back, and then in return fees, we send that into y'all, but as we collect the taxes. Office supplies, we have just seen an increase. Last year, we were over a little bit in that. I could foresee being over in that again this year. We got 2 new stations last year, 2 new employees to make up for the demand in tax title and driver's license, and that comes with increased, paper, toner, just everything that goes to run the office, as well as we got that queuing machine, the paper that goes to that, and just increasing, everything right now. So I had to add this because I got it the day that I was doing my budget. We did have that bottom line equipment rental. Our meter mail machine, we got an increase. They sent the contract the day of, so I added that in real quick at the bottom. And then EDP, last year we had a lot in the budget or more than we normally do for getting those 2 new stations and everything that we needed, printers and all that. So I took that down, but we do have some computers that need to be replaced in the coming year, so I kept $4,000 in that line item. So it was for a total of about 4.5%, or $55,000 is the total. Any questions?
I have a question, I have a comment. Have you ever looked into the, like, the program where you get your computers, you can get new computers like every 4 years?
Clint and I have talked about that. It would be an increase for ours because many of ours are state computers.
Okay.
So we have not had to do a lot of replacements on our computers, whereas that is an automatic every 3 years. We're actually not replacing them at that rate. But it would be an increase to the budget to do that more than what we're doing right now. But it probably would be a better thing to do as technology.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
my
we
big
depend on it,
concern.
yes.
Yeah, you get technology, and then, you know, of course, comes with all of the viruses and antivirus.
Yes,
and
yeah.
all that.
Mhm.
And the newer your models, the newer, more protection you have.
Yes, it is something that I've talked with Clint about a couple of times, and it could be something that we definitely look more into in the future. So,
Just
yeah.
of course.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
My compliments on handling the volume of
Wow.
citizens that you see down there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in there and the room is packed and people standing by the walls waiting in
Yeah.
line. Just,
Yeah. It's
y'all do
been-
an amazing job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
That new
that.
system has just improved.
It's the,
Yeah.
when we
It's
got,
great.
when we went, you know, kind of, I won't call it an explosion, but when we just, around COVID time, we were steady increasing in our volume, but that really did it when we opened back up for COVID. And just, I feel like it's so much less
It is.
chaotic, you know, trying to get everybody, we've done so much cross-training and trying to get people that then, you know, we've loved it, and we get to see a lot more data on, you know, just the volume
Right.
and exactly, you know, who's coming in, and we can kind of anticipate certain days and things like that. So anyway, it's been really good.
Is there a way of tracking how many, like, residents we have? I know, I see a lot
We
of
don't
people
do it on that,
have-
but we do have the option. It's just, we would have to, that machine is so simple. I wanted people to be able to just, what are you here for? We can get it to find out, you know, our zip codes and things like that. But we get that information from the state periodically to find out, and it's generally about 40%, 38 to 40% in tag and title, and about 30% in tag and title, and 38 to 40% in driver's license. Now, year before last, that went up in driver's license, just because it was a big year for renewals, and people are looking not to wait, which in turn, you know, what that does. But the 2 new people have helped tremendously, and I think probably our average wait time on a busy day is about 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Now, during lunches and things like that, it goes up, you know,
Pretty quick.
because there's less there. But
The
Do you-
service here is so much better when they get in Jacksonville or
Yeah.
around
It
the
is.
counties, and that's why they come.
it is, and we get those fees, but you know, we don't want it the good to outweigh the bad, and this has helped, you know, where we're not having those long wait times, as, you know. So
Any idea of what percentage is non-county resident?
that's what we're saying, like probably 30% in tags,
okay.
and
Okay.
about 38,
Okay.
40% in driver's license. So.
That's a significant amount.
It is, it is.
is.
Yeah, and it's always been about that, but the total volume
People.
is up, yeah, so as people, our county, you know, grows, and then the outskirts grow, it's just, you know, that trend is just kind of there, so anyway, it's just more people in general, but anyway. All right, thank y'all very much.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Ms. Duggan.
Next on our list should be animal control. Got Mr. Jonathan Clark here for backup, should we need it. All right, so if we're ready, we'll get started on that one.
We're ready.
All right, you'll see on your summary sheet there before you, the requested budget change totals $20,493.47, or 7.6% increase. We are going to be asking for a couple of capital purchases in this department too, so I think overall we try to be very careful of how we're requesting that money. You will see a big drop in personnel services, and that is because we were carrying both the salary for the previous director and the replacement. So now that we have Jonathan in as the director for that department, we can drop that other part of that. So we were funding both Georgia and Jonathan for some carryover numbers, in current budget. So that's the reduction there. You'll see that we've not changed the staffing. Like I said, we just had that overlap in hiring of the new person. Okay. All right. So we will go to operating unless you have any questions on the summary. Okay. All right. Again, and keeping in line with what we've talked about pretty consistently over the last couple of departments is adding a cost to overtime. Again, this is another department that we don't see a tremendous amount of, but it does occur from time to time throughout the year. Again, we try to flex that out with sending staff home early and those things, but when you're working with a limited staff, like in other departments, there's only 3 people, sending someone home early on comp time is not always the best ideal situation for that. So we are asking for a budget of $5,000 for overtime. You can see the last few years we've really not used that. So if that's something we need to talk about to reducing down to a little more manageable number, I think we're okay with that too, but just consistently across the board, we had kind of plugged in $5,000 for overtime in some of those departments. And again, and looking at it, I think we could still even go as low as probably $2,500 and be okay on that.
I was gonna say, well, with Miss Georgia going, do we foresee that overtime need going up?
Well, he's already back fully staffed again.
Yeah.
Are you? Okay.
So we were able to fill that third position pretty quickly after Georgia retired. We only had 2 or 3 weeks or so that we were back down to just 2 people. So. I mean, it's hard to predict. It's one of those too that if we've got any hurricanes, this could be one that affects that as well, because it could create some, excess time outside of normal business hours. So, like I said, $5,000 is what we plugged in there, but obviously we can adjust that if we need to.
What would be the downside of leaving it at 5,000 versus taking it to 2,500? Is there a benefit of dropping it to 2,500?
Just to show the budget reduction would be nice, make it a little closer to a flat increase.
Yeah, I think it would be a problem. Keeping it at 25 and a more true actual number.
Yeah, and I'm good with that too. Like I said, I think that's still feasible for the department to operate under the needs that it needs for
And
overtime.
it's fully staffed now too, so that helps a lot.
Yes, makes a big difference. When we were preparing this budget, we did not know how long it would take to fill that position. So
Sure.
The fact that we were able to do that so quickly was definitely a benefit for sure. Special pay, this is what we actually pay our people that are on rotation. So our staff gets on call, so that's after 5 o'clock through working hours the next day for 7 days a week, all day on the weekends, right? So someone still has to go to calls for the sheriff's office and then take care of the animals, feed and water them daily. So I said that rotates through the staff. Special pay is where we pay those employees directly for those hours already. So that would be different. Overtime would be truly outside of any of those normal, regularly scheduled excess hours. So special pay, you can see that that's still at $10,000. Same from current year. Again, we've not added any new staff, so we don't see a reason to increase that one. Professional services has increased from $8,500 to $10,000. This is where we actually pay for our veterinary services for all the animals that are adopted throughout the facility, go to the vet and receive services. And we've just seen some increase in costs from those providers, and so that's just truing that up to what we anticipate the expenses to more closely reflect in upcoming year.
Go ahead.
I have a question on this one line item, Ms. Sarah,
Yes, sir.
on professional services, is this where our spay and neuter program?
No, sir. That's going to be a little further down, but
Okay.
I will say this professional services, when people pay their fee to adopt the animal, they're paying for this service. So animal control does generate revenue that
Okay.
offsets this cost as
That was
well.
from-
Yes, sir.
So from 24 to 25, did we increase in volume that much, or did we find a new vet, like it's more expensive vet?
No, sir. I would
There-
say it's volume.
yeah.
We still use the
Because
local
we went from
vets.
2,400 to 9,600 in 1 year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's just getting more.
So that was
adoptable
pure
animals.
volume?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And a lot of that too, we've had some increase in activity with PetSmart. So if you go into PetSmart in Oakleaf, all of those cats that are there are Baker County cats, the adoptable animals. And we work very closely with them, and they have a lot of adoption events where we get to bring the dogs. They don't get to stay there, but the dogs come and go. Those PetSmart events do require that the animal be fully vaccinated and spayed or neutered at the time you bring it. So whereas other times we may have an animal and we're paying when it's adopted, they pay us for the adoption fee and then it goes to the vet, and it's a very closely washed, cost. On PetSmart, we've got to do that in advance, and so that animal may go to the PetSmart event, 3 or 4 times before it's adopted. So you could see where that expenditure to pay the vet happens a little bit before you actually get the fee back for adopting the animal out. But that way, and make sure that when they adopt it from PetSmart, the animal's ready to go back home. Those people don't have to drive back to McClenny or find a vet that will agree to work with us and things like that. So just better consistency to get those animals adopted and have them taken care of. Traveling per diem is still the same at $1,000. You will see that periodically we will raise this in alternating years. There's annual conferences and recertification. So on the years where that cost might be slightly higher is because that was the year that required the staff to travel to a specific program to get recertified. But that's not an annual cost. I think that's biannual. So you'll see that rotate. One year it may be a little lower, and the next year it may be a little bit higher, just to rotate those expenses.
So is this a lower year or a higher?
This is a lower year, yes, sir. If you'll see, in current budget year, we've already had, Jonathan and Tanya have gone through their training, so they're good. We only have 1 employee that needs to go through that this year. So on the alternate years, you've got 2 employees, versus 1 employee now.
You said this is a lower year?
Yes, sir. Current year, we're only asking for $1,000. In the upcoming year, we're only asking for $1,000. In current year, we had 2 employees that had to go to those classes and be certified. So you'll see that that current year to date is already $1,688, and that should be the reason why. We have had some staff turnover, so you'll see that even in 2025, that number is a little high because we've had staff get trained and then leave. So now that we've got a consistent set of staff members, that we hope we don't have any duplication of training on those things. But they have to be trained officers before they could go out on calls alone. So we do wait, to make sure that they're going to be here long term, but sometimes you have some overlap with that. But I'm fully confident in the 3 we have now. We're not going anywhere. Okay, all right, moving down into communications. We did ask for a slight increase there from $2,500 to $3,000. The internet package that we have from the provider at Animal Control is one of the very basic services. And where it's at, we see significant delays in being able to just process things on the internet. The software that they use in their office is internet-based, and so sometimes that can create a problem. And then also with the new state law requirement that any office that collects a fee is required to take credit card payments. So that is something that we're in the stages now that has to be in effect by January of 2027. And so we've got a vendor now. We can either use a physical machine in the building or, again, internet-based, both of which require more bandwidth than we have now available. So we need to up that internet package a little bit to make sure that we can provide that service to the citizens as they come in. So again, a $500 increase, and that's simply just to offer that. Like I said, the internet to function a little faster than it does now and to be able to do those credit card processings online.
And we're just gonna make sure that the credit card processing fees are passed on to the
Absolutely,
consumer.
absolutely, yes, sir. This wouldn't be any for credit card fees, it's simply just the internet package
Oh,
increase,
thank
yes, sir. Okay, utility service has stayed the same at $5,500. Again, that is still tracking to be a reasonable budget amount for that line item. Insurance claims and deductibles. So if we ever have an accident with one of our county vehicles where a deductible on our end needs to be met, you'll see those charges there, which is why we've had that issue in previous years. It is not something that we budget for in every single department. It's typically just a budget amendment if we ever had that happen. It's very few and far between that happens, but you'll see those expenditures were, unfortunately, one of the vehicles wasn't a slight fender bender.
It wasn't me.
Was not Jonathan, and it was not the employee's fault, but it did end up having to go against, have some expenditures on our end for a couple of things on that part, but.
I'm glad I'm not the employee that causes a line item for insurance claims to be in my department.
That was
It
not
happens.
me.
We're
Yeah.
very fortunate that it's very few and far between. Repairs and maintenance, again, that is staying the same at $2,000. And then I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, those are supposed to be repairs and maintenance, and then, I think, vehicle repair and then equipment repairs and maintenance.
Gotcha.
That
Do you,
was one of the-
is it, the $2,000, would that be vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other one is that equipment and then maybe building?
Or, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate
You're
that,
welcome.
Brooklyn.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're good. All right, so the $2,000, the first one on repairs and maintenance, that would be for vehicles. Again, keeping that the same at $2,000 from current year. You will see that some of those expenditures have exceeded that budget. However, we're going to talk about that when we get to capital. Again, equipment repairs and maintenance, that's for any of the things that they use on a daily basis. That could be catch poles or traps or any of those types of equipment on there for that $2,500. Again, that's a reduction, just kind of truing that up to a little closer number than what we're currently at $3,000, just to have a little cost savings there. And then building repairs and maintenance at $1,500. That one is one of those, I think, that got a little funky. It shows that we didn't budget anything for it, but I think that's kind of standard is $1,500 on that one, just to keep that one in the budget for anything that may happen on the building itself. Advertising, same at $750. Refunds, again, this is one that is very minimal, but on the rare occasion you may have a person that comes through and has some type of service, and they change their mind or there's some kind of issue within, a reasonable time frame. So $120 is, I think, sufficient to be able to cover that as well. Office supplies, that has stayed the same, again, at $450. And then operating supplies is currently, in current budget year, is at $5,500. And we are asking for an increase of $8,500. And the reason for this increase is that we've got an influx of puppies and kittens in the facility. And currently, our practice is we don't vaccinate those animals at all. When they come into the facility, they only receive those vaccinations at the time of adoption. Well, young animals are so, susceptible to parvo and all of those types of things. We've seen that throughout this last year. We actually had a parvo outbreak, I think 2 different times.
We actually have one right now.
Yeah.
I've lost 3 animals in the past 2 days because
Right.
of it, so.
And so that is very important to make sure that we are adopting animals that are healthy out into the public and also not causing us future problems later on with the decontamination, and then we can't house young animals at the facility until we're sure that that's under control. And so this is a new service that we want to provide. Puppies and kittens, it doesn't take us long to adopt those out. Those are almost always easily adopted animals. It's the older animals that may stay a little longer. So just to make sure that we are, like I said, protecting the animals that come into the facility that are very young, that are more prone to those types of things, getting that already taken care of before they're adopted, and then of course keeping that outbreak under control in our own facility. So quite a few reasons as to why we would do that, but again, we are asking to start implementing that program in-house. And this is something that we would get those medications from the vet's office and administer them ourselves.
Yes.
Internally there at Animal Control. So wouldn't require them to take them specifically to the vet for that. Okay, page 2 of operating, unless there's any questions. All right, so our fuel, we have asked for a $500 increase from $5,000 to $5,500. When we talk about the new vehicle purchase, so we can expand upon that a little bit more as well, but that would be, the $500 increase would be due to the addition of the new truck. The books, publication, and memberships, still the same at $150. Uniforms still the same at $2,000. Again, you may see some of those years where that's slightly higher, and that's due to staff turnover. We may bring a new employee on, and to outfit them, may cost a little bit more than just replacing a couple t-shirts or a couple pants each year as they get worn out. Training, we actually have reduced that. This upcoming year, again, will be a smaller year. We only have 1 employee that needs to go through that training program this year. So we are currently at 4,500, and we are asking to move that one down to 2,500. And building improvements to the facility themselves. So this is not something that's currently in the budget, but we are asking for $5,000 to be added, and that is for some fencing. Most of that fencing there is 20 plus years old. We have repaired, we have patched, and we've got a lot of areas where it's curled up around the edges. The gates are really difficult to open and close, and so it's time to look at that and do some much more needed repairs than just the small little things we've been able to do each year. Again, equipment, $5,000 for this one. This is one that we have not budgeted for several years because we have not replaced any equipment in quite a long time. But we are really desperately needing to replace our catch poles. Those are really showing their age. A lot of those don't even function anymore. And then our chemical immobilization equipment, we actually don't have any of that actively works right now. So that would be in the event that we see this from time to time in mobile homes. You've got maybe a stray dog that gets all the way up underneath, someone's mobile home, and they're, potentially tearing up ductwork and things like that. You may be inaccessible, or they may be dangerous, they may be scared, and so it would require them to be sedated from a distance, right? And so that's what that would be used for. Right now, we don't have any of that equipment in-house that actually functions, so this would be something else. So we have priced all of that out, and even though it's kind of a variation of equipment that we need, $5,000 should be sufficient to bring us up to speed with those things that need to be replaced. And then capital outlay is $75,000. Again, we'll get to that one on the next page, and that is for a new vehicle. Donations line items, so we get revenue in, and so you have to show that on the budget, on both sides, the revenue and expense. But typically, on average, we have some really great people in the community that donate money to animal control very consistently, and so that's just showing that revenue and expenditure. And then the Spay Baker program is that last item, Commissioner Anderson. That's what you were asking about. So we are currently asking for the same amount, $5,000. This is one that I would like to talk about briefly, because every dollar that we budget, our local volunteers match dollar for dollar. And so we split this up right now. It's $2,500 for cats and $2,500 for dogs. I didn't input any increase to this simply because we've got a couple of capital purchases that Jonathan really needed in his budget, and I was trying to keep those increases at a minimum. But if it is at the board's pleasure, even a $1,000 increase in making that $3,000 for cats and $3,000 for dogs, we have seen that be a tremendous help in our community. That is a program for people who may not be able to afford to have their pets spayed or neuters. We're doing that service. There is a verification process they go to. There's an application they have to apply for, and we actually partner with a vet in Jacksonville that offers those at a significantly discounted rate. Separately, the volunteers have their own program that they run with a couple of vets that will offer that service at a zero cost. But that is not county funds. That obviously there's really no money other than transportation that goes with that. But that just shows how much our local volunteers are trying to fix this problem with an overpopulation of animals in the community. So again, this is one that if I had to add any money to, if we possibly could, like I said, even just a $1,000 increase would go a long way for this program. But again, we left it current at $5,000. It's very successful. They meet here, actually in our parking lot. They rotate months. 1 month it'll be cat spays or neuters, and the opposite month, it'll be dogs. And so it's been very successful. We're very proud of that program for what it's doing in the community, helping both the animals, reducing the animals that are coming into the facility, and then helping people that may not have been able to do that on their own.
The reason I brought that up earlier is I didn't know if this is where we need to put the money, but I do think that we need to have a fund. I know a lot of people, and I've had some talk to me, say, well, if you put 1,000, the county will put 1,000 in, I'll put 1,000.
Yes, and that's exactly this program. Yes,
And
sir.
this, the fund, where we need to put that money.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
She
Because
matches.
I know there's
Yes.
I have been approached, I'm not gonna mention names, but I don't put anybody on the spot.
Yeah.
Would be willing to fund 1,000 for spade and neuter if the county was. And I can respect
Yes.
that.
Yes. So those volunteers match our $5,000 with another $5,000. We do $10,000 in spays and neuters as a community each year. So they match it dollar
So
for
this
dollar
is where
now.
we would put, say if we wanted to add another $1,000
Yes,
to
sir.
the program, this is where it would be, and then
Yes,
they
sir.
would, so instead of getting 10,000, we would get 12,000. not
Yes, sir.
put in a
Correct.
spade and neuter to control the population.
Yes, sir.
And it helps people who can't afford to have it done.
Yes, and they fundraise all year long. They do a great job. They get community partners, they get businesses that will help pay for that, and then they themselves contribute their own money towards it as well.
And
Yes,
if
sir.
it's not spent, it's still here.
Yes, sir. That's
But
correct.
it's normally spent, I see over the years.
Yes, sir. They spend every dollar every year. Yes, sir.
I'm in favor of moving that fund up. Not, cause I know right now if we moved up 1,000, we're gonna, somebody's gonna help with another 1,000.
Right.
So what I don't wanna do is handicap ourselves with that 1,000.
Mhm.
I think we should move it up $2,000, and then that gives us an opportunity if somebody else wants to say, hey, I'll give you
Okay.
another 1,000, if y'all got 1,000. Don't mean that we have to spend it, it just means that we have an option to gain another.
Yes, sir.
And that really is what it takes to control the population.
Absolutely. It is an investment in the community that we, without a doubt, over the last few years have seen an improvement in, for
I
sure.
would love to see people who can't afford to have it done, have an option to have it done.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir.
Because there's a lot of people out there that need help.
Absolutely.
Back when I was a young man, I was one of those people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I said, we do have an application and a vetting process that we do require that they are a Baker County resident. We do require proof of that. But like I said, we get those. We've got a great volunteer, and she pretty much manages that entire thing. She brings us invoices once it's done, and we pay it. But otherwise, she does a great job at doing all of that. She provides all the backup too, and all of that. Yes, sir.
So I'm in favor of doing the 1,000, because from what, have pretty good confidence in this person. And if we would move it up
Yes,
that
sir.
other 1,000 and give somebody else an opportunity, they might not only want to do 500, but still,
Yes,
if
sir.
we have the money there, we can say, we'll match it.
Yes, sir.
And you don't have to come back to the board and say, okay,
Right.
just my opinion.
I think making it 7,000 is the right thing to do. I agree with that.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with it. He said 6,000, you said 7.
Well, it's 5 now, and I wanted to bump it up 2,000, which would be 7. Because right now, if we move it to 6, we've already got somebody.
You already got somebody that's matching
That's gonna
that.
match
Yeah.
that 1,000. So I
Right.
don't wanna
He's trying
handicap
to challenge
ourselves.
us.
If somebody else wants to help,
Yes, sir.
then they won't be able to until it comes back to the board, and then that's just a long process.
Yes, sir. I think it's a great program.
And
It's
this is
worth-
the
it's
best
worth
way
every
to
penny.
control pet population in the county,
Absolutely.
is to spade and neuter. And
Yes,
if you can help 10 people get their,
Mhm.
that's 10, that probably saves over 100 pets
yeah.
being on the street.
Absolutely. What's the, you can say like a cat from the age of like 3 months, I think, can have a litter. of
Every 3.5
kittens.
months, a cat can have a litter.
She
of
can have like
kittens.
100 kittens in
And she
1
can
year.
have up to,
Yeah.
I think it's 16 kittens per litter,
Yeah.
up to.
To me, it's just an
Wow.
investment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, you think one mama cat, spayed and neutered, or spayed would be.
If we look at
Within a
this
year,
if you
it's
look at it next year,
150
and
kittens.
people are matching what we're
Per
helping
cat.
Absolutely.
with, it might be
Yeah.
something you wanna look
Yeah.
at next year,
Mhm.
another thing. You
Yes,
just
sir.
don't want to restrict people from being able
Yeah.
to reach out and help, and that's
Right.
helpful.
We started this in year 1 with either 1,000 or 2,000, and every
$1,500.
yeah, and every year they have, as a community, gone out and done more and more, and we have matched their effort every year since, and it's just year
I just
4, I
don't-
believe. Yeah.
And I just don't want the county to have to wait
Yes,
till
sir.
the next budget cycle. Because right now, without a doubt, we know that we got 1,000, it's gonna be matched. So we have to wait all the way to the next budget cycle if somebody else wants to help.
Right.
So this way, we can go ahead and put it in the budget, and if they don't
Absolutely.
help it don't have to be spent,
Right.
but it'll be available.
Sarah, the 2025 actuals at 95.91. Is half of that?
Yes, sir. We had
From the
some carry
county?
forward. So all on your budgets, this will be all county money. She pays her match directly to that vet, but she provides us proof of that payment when it's done. So the reason why that 1 year is higher, we actually had some carry forward. They had like a change in their billing person and then a change in their business name, and so there was a delay in getting some of those invoices paid. So from 1 year to the next, I think you paid double in 1 year is what ended up happening. Yeah.
Double, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so we are on a consensus to raise that to $7,000 then. Okay. All right. Any other questions on operating? All right, we'll switch over to capital outlay. If I had to guess, I think we're going to talk about diesel versus gas on this truck.
We're about to.
Something tells me that we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, in the current animal control department, we have two very, very old vehicles, 20 years or so on average for both of those, and one newer vehicle that's, I think it's year 3. I think it's year 3 on
Yeah,
this one.
this is
Entering-
23.
Yeah, there you go. So the two older vehicles are used on a daily basis, and we constantly have, one has electrical problems and all sorts of issues with it.
Most of the time it don't start.
Yeah, the newer vehicle is the one that we specifically used for the landfill trips. So when we go to the landfill, you have to have your vehicle registered, and they have to know all sorts of vehicle information about it. You have to submit some reporting requirements, and that's because of its disposal of the animals when we go there, right? So that vehicle was intended to be purchased specifically for that and that alone. Because if we don't use that to run calls, that vehicle theoretically could last us 20 or 30 years, right? If we're just driving that to the landfill, we're keeping the miles and the wear and tear on it, just there and back. And so that's really the intention of it. Because we've had this overlap of employees, and then because these vehicles continue to cause us issues, it's been used. Actually, Jonathan drives it every day.
Yeah,
It's the
I'm
one that's
using
being
it now.
used. And so what we're asking for in current year would be to add a vehicle for the director. Transport truck to the landfill could then be used for what it's intended to. So the other two vehicles, even though we do have issues with them, we feel that at least this one to start with would be okay. We can make it another year or two, maybe on some repairs on those other vehicles. Oftentimes, a lot of the officers, they may have to even respond 2 at a time, depending on what the call is. So in those situations, they can ride in one vehicle together, right? So we're focusing on the replacement of one or the addition of one right now and keeping those other two in service. But honestly, next year and the following year, we're going to have to start talking maybe a vehicle replacement a year over the next couple of years. But trying to break that up, and so it's not so costly all at one time. So what we're talking about in this current budget cycle is a 2500 truck. We did cost this out on the state contract pricing. Again, this is just a gas vehicle, so if we want to talk about diesel, we'll have to increase that. But we're asking for $55,000 for that purchase. Right now on the state contract, this vehicle is listed at $51,000. So we did bump it up just a little bit to make sure that we had some room for increase in costs, since it's not going to be purchased for several months. But again, if we want to talk diesel, then we need to increase this one up to probably closer to like $70,000, like Shannon's maintenance vehicle we just previously spoke about.
Is this want to have a bed on it, or what?
Yes, sir. This will be a pickup truck that will have. We're going to use your. I think you're going to be able to use your actual the box that's on the other one now, right?
Yes, for
Yeah. Yeah.
For
This
a
one just
box.
has like a dog box in
Will have
it.
dog
Yes,
box.
yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
those animal control trucks with all the built-in
Like,
compartments and air conditioners, those are about $130,000
That's what
right
I'm-
now. Yeah.
That was
So-
gonna be my question.
and that would be the next one that I would ask to replace on the next year's budget, because it's almost 20 years old,
Yeah.
and half the time it don't start. And if you do get it started, you feel like the front end's going to fall out driving down the road.
During
So it's not
summertime,
utilized as much as we should be utilizing it,
Right.
simply because the other two officers just don't feel safe driving it.
Yeah.
So
During the summer months, that truck predates how they have all the safety equipment now with alarms and air conditioners and all that. If you're out, doing calls and you've got an animal that's in that compartment on a day like we've had recently, you would not want to be in that situation. So
and a heat
during the summer months, it
advisory,
would, yeah.
in a heat advisory, it's just not safe for the
Yeah.
animals to be in that vehicle.
That
period.
metal compartment just gets too hot.
So is that the most you would ever be hauling in this vehicle, is a dog box?
No, the 2500 would also be used to haul livestock. And
Yeah.
further down the list, you'll see that I'm asking for a
Right.
new livestock trailer,
Yeah.
because the one that we have is completely rusted through.
Yeah.
I can literally walk up to it and put my finger right through the floor.
The new
So-
vehicle would be used to haul the new trailer
Right.
if it was funded,
Right.
yes, sir. So are we good with that one, or is that one that you guys would like for us to look at for a more heavy-duty vehicle? It is a small livestock trailer, I will say that. It's not something that we need you know, to haul 3 or 4 horses at one time. We did get, you know, you can see this 6 by 14 foot trailer, so it's a small one. But again, if we're talking longevity and, you know, reliability of that vehicle, if you guys wanted to match that to some of the other diesels, that's really all, you know, what you guys think is best.
Towing a trailer, hauling livestock, I'm definitely in favor of diesel over gas.
I am too.
It just makes a lot more sense. So-
Longevity, gearing, everything just makes
Yeah.
more sense with
How
diesels.
often are you hauling livestock?
On average, right now, I spoke with the guy that helps us with most of it, Mr. Thrift. He said on average it's anywhere from 7 to 14 times a year is what we call him
Okay.
to utilize his services. He does it right now strictly as a volunteer thing, but the conversations that we've had, it costs him quite a bit of money to volunteer that service for us.
Sure.
So that's why I'm trying to get more preempted to be able to handle it ourselves.
Right.
The insurance purposes, things like that, it's just not something that we should be relying on somebody who has
Just
nothing to do with the
volunteer.
county to
Absolutely.
handle. Right.
Not
I
something we're
appreciate
doing
his
it all
help
day.
for sure, but
Absolutely.
it's our job really.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So would you like us to bump that up? I think we settled on $75,000 for the vehicle and the maintenance department. So if you guys would like for us to do that, that'd be a $20,000 increase to what's being presented.
I'm definitely in favor of the diesel.
Okay.
And the livestock trailer, I'm not a livestock person, so I'm not sure anything about it.
We did actively
A
price
6 by
those out as well.
14?
It's a small, it'd be for like a.
Seems small.
It is.
It is. It's
Yeah.
it's generally 6 by 14 is generally for 1, maybe 2 cows,
Yeah.
but
A lot of what we hear, what we see are pigs that are on the loose and goats and things like that. If
yeah.
it's a horse,
we get a lot of
it's a
miniature
cow,
horse
yeah.
calls.
Yeah.
A lot of miniature horses.
Would
Which
this
is-
haul a full-size horse? A
Yes,
full-size horse?
yes. It'll haul 2 full-size
I
horses.
mean, I'm a big man, that don't sound like it's big enough for me.
Yeah, we have a
I need
large
a bigger,
livestock
so.
trailer now, and I will tell you, it's not been utilized like that. Really, the need is for something more along that size, which is why we proposed a smaller one.
Yeah.
It seemed excessive. You know, the other one that we got used, and it's been, 15 years or so that we've used it. But honestly, you got 1 or 2 little goats in the back of, a 4-stall horse trailer. It's just been excessive for what the need actually in the department was.
Is it
So,
gooseneck or bumper pool?
I think it's
Bumper
good.
pool.
Oh, is it?
Bumper
Okay.
pool?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, like I said, it's seen better days.
I would
Yeah.
prefer to stick with the bumper pool simply because it will have a dog box in the back
Oh,
of it.
sure.
If we put a 5th wheel, then we're losing that space and that ability
And
to
we've already
utilize the
priced
trucks.
this out.
Yes, sir. We did price those out.
And the shed's been priced out.
Yes, sir, they have been. Yes, sir. So the other item, and thank you, Commissioner Anderson. So the other item under capital is a storage shed.
Yes.
So when animal control was built, really we did not. There's really no storage space in it, and so about 15 years ago or so, the school was getting rid of those portable buildings, which is what you see there at the facility now. That was donated to the county, and we use that to house all of the cats, and it does have some storage area in it as well. But we really have exceeded what we can do there. One of the offices is actually being used as storage currently, and so we're trying to get away from that and have that department cleaned up and organized and make it presentable. So we're looking for just a small 12 by 20 with a roll-up door to be able to move those cages. So right now they're just at the front door. When you walk up to animal control, they're just stacked floor to ceiling at the front door, and so
So
Wait.
there's no need for this to be heated and cooled?
No, sir,
Climate
it's not.
control is just a basic.
no, sir, just basic storage. Yes, sir.
Basically, what I want to use it for is the overstock for our food pantry for the community. We're to the point now where we have to use my office for storage, and we've also taken kennels out of the dog building to use as storage as well. Plus, we have to utilize the front porch and all the walkways, and they're all just stacked with traps and cages that are they're getting completely rusted out to the point where we can't use them because we have nowhere else to put them.
Just better operational use of the facility the way it
Well,
should be
I
intended.
don't have a problem with storing like the pens and stuff
Mhm.
like that. When you start talking about pet food, you just put them in a building like that, that's not gonna last long.
Yeah.
No, it's
Well,
not.
when we reorganize and do that too, I think you could probably put your pet food in the
cat
animal
building.
building. I mean, the
Yeah.
cat building now, because it's
That thing needs to be heated and
yeah.
cooled.
The cat building is heated and cooled, so that's why, like, if we move all of our stuff out of the cat building that we have stored in there, we will have room for our overstock for our food pantry for the community.
Yeah.
I just
So-
don't want
It's
people-
reorganized, right?
Yeah.
people to volunteer and bring food and give us food, and then they're bad.
Absolutely.
Right.
We need to take care of that.
Right.
That food bank is very
And that-
heavily used. We want to make
yeah,
sure people still have
absolutely.
access to it, yeah. Yes, sir. So that's the capital purchases. If the board, I think the consensus was to move the truck to 75,000. And then the shed is at $10,000, and that is just electrical is the only thing that we do need to be able to have some, lighting inside there. And then the livestock trailer, again, that was 6 foot by 14 foot. We have priced all of those out just a few weeks ago, so those prices should be good. And that totals now would be $95,000 in capital purchases, and we'll make that adjustment.
Can I make one request?
Absolutely.
You may have already done this, I'm just asking. So you have a 12 by 20 building on here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, for just a super quick Google search, we could get a 12 by 36 for like another $1,000. So could we check on that? A 12 by
Yeah,
36
absolutely.
would be a lot better, and that way in a year or 2 years you're not
Does that have a
coming back.
roll-up door on it?
It did.
Okay, yeah, good.
Yeah, it has a roll-up door and a walk-in door, and it says it's $10,425. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, that's a super quick search. My computer's dead, so I can't confirm.
Right.
But
Well,
I just
and
feel like
our rate does include the electrical
I'll-
hookup on that
I
too.
would
Yes,
agree
sir.
with
Yeah.
Commissioner Iverson, and if we're gonna go that route, because of the taxes and delivery fees and stuff like that, we might wanna bump that up to 15 and then go ahead and get the bigger shed.
Yeah.
I really think we need a bigger shed.
Would that be, you think, sufficient for the electrical hookup too?
I do, because your electrical in these metal
Right.
shops, just like the one he's pricing it, is already has the
Okay,
electrical
good
in
deal.
it.
So you
So it's no additional cost.
Right.
All right.
It's
so-
just the wiring from the box to the unit.
And that wiring is not going to change whether it's a 12 by 20 or 36.
Right.
Same size.
Right.
Same size wiring.
Okay, all right, so from 10,000 to 15,000.
Yep.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
just feel like they've done a lot with a little out there, and that
Absolutely.
this would be a great benefit to them
Mhm.
and make their job a lot easier.
Well, I certainly appreciate that.
For minimal cost too.
Right.
For minimal cost.
All right, on personnel, we can answer, like I said, any specific questions, but again, this is the standard across the board, 4% raises, no new staff, and then all the other increases, FRS, FICA, all those normal ones as well, but nothing different about the personnel costs on that one. Okay, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
John.
you.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
We're gonna do veteran services, and then we're gonna take a break for lunch. So,
Sounds good.
So I'm presenting veteran services on behalf of Tony. We are just asking for a 1.5% increase, 1.51. With operating costs, that's actually going to be a decrease from last year's request. So starting with travel and per diem, that's going to be the same as last year of $1,000 request for his training that he goes to every year. $50 for postage stays the same. Repairs and maintenance of $200 stays the same. Office supplies, I decreased by $100 just based on prior year averages. The prior year average was $140, so I set that at $150. Operating supplies decreased by $50, also based on prior 2 year averages. The prior 2 year average was only $820, so I thought $1,200 would be plenty for that. Fuel request is staying the same at $750. Books, publications, and memberships stays at, it's decreasing to $300 from $919. That's also just based on averages. Last year in 2025, we only spent $150, and the prior 2 year average was $320, so that's why I set that at $300. For training, that's going to stay the same as last year at $1,500. So, and then office furniture is $0. So that's why the operating cost is decreasing by $769. And then for capital outlay is $0. Personnel costs, the only increase really on that line is the 4% raise, 15% increase for health insurance, which actually I don't even think that Tony has health insurance. He doesn't have health insurance from the county, so it'll just be his raise. Yeah, and that's it. Any questions? Nope.
I think Glenn Patton has a question.
Glenn, you wanted to speak
Thank you.
about veteran services?
Glenn Patton, 633 Michelle Road, Glenny. Got my veteran hat on, so I appreciate that. But let me back up a second. I went home and I was trying to watch on, and I did, so. But I had a question, maybe it was just me, but these slides here, I could not see. Do they get provided to the public while you're, during these presentations? It could be just me, but, because I'm not all too much with Facebook, but this would have helped. So,
We can check on it.
okay, just check on, a recommendation, because it makes it very much easier. These are good
Yeah.
slides. I love the format, very good, particularly of the last years and whatnot. Another recommendation is maybe level of services beforehand. For instance, like veteran services, a slide that pops up that says how many veterans he serves, how many requisitions, how many VA claims or something. Just to get the mindset going. You all may know all this information, but the public that's watching that, maybe there's only a few of us, but some people do. It's all of that transparency stuff that you're talking about. Just, hey, this is what you're getting with this money type of thing. So just something to think about for future years. Particularly on the veteran services. Correct me if I'm wrong, this is still just 4 days a week that
That's correct.
Tony's providing a service. So that's what the personnel service. Someday, if we're going to assume that all the services keep going, but I do have that concern. I'll get to that in a second. We might want to reconsider bumping that back up to the 5 days a week for veteran services, particularly if we get the word out, which I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start putting the word out more. There are good services provided, because honestly, not all the veterans know about the services that Tony provides. And if we do some, and I see up there, we don't have advertising up there, maybe if we start doing some advertising, we can start doing more for veterans. But that's future discussions, kind of a way ahead, because obviously I'm concerned. When I was home, interesting was the discussions on Firewatch. I mean, it was sad to hear that money going away, but we did good on that.
Going away, it's just that they don't need it anymore.
Right. Well, the program is expanded statewide, so
Statewide
it's,
program.
obviously we did something good here to help generate that to go statewide, because it was a good service, and I appreciate that. Okay, in the last comment, because I know you all want to get to lunch. The possibility, you all mentioned it before, about veteran services may go away if these homestead tax exemptions go as proposed, if people vote on it, and that'll be sad. And we're going to have to work, and I say I'll be part of that, we'll work on how we cover that. But I think what would be important, if we start now, for sure, start tracking everything that we do. How many requests for VA services that Tony's processed, and the follow-up appointments that he's done, requests for burial flags. There's a whole bunch of different things that he says we need to have that level of service captured to show what that pain is, so we can go fight for showing what that is. I would be sad if we lose that veteran service, but I understand.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, if I may,
What's that?
I said if I may address a couple
Yes,
of the
please.
questions. Full-time, Tony and I have talked about that. He right now is not interested in working 5 days a week. He's got a lot that is going on in his personal life that he uses his Fridays for. So we have talked about that.
Right.
And if at any point in time that changes for Tony, that door is open for us as well. Or in the future, whatever time Tony decides to retire and we look for someone new, then that obviously is on the table for us as well. But again, like I said, 4 days a week is what he prefers, and we recognize that. As far as the tracking of that, we do that. If that's something that you're interested to see what his numbers look like each year, we can actually, that's not a problem. Tony tracks that information already now, so we can absolutely kind of provide that if that would be helpful. And the last question, so we have not publicly talked about what those property tax reductions will look like for Baker County just yet, because we've been so focused on our other, budgets and things like that. But very, very closely, relatively soon, we're going to be talking about that. I will say from my perspective, I have not prepared any budget numbers that show veteran services not funded. So what I have been working on are cuts across the board to every department, but every department still have some level of funding to it. So again, from my perspective as well, and I know that the board supports our veterans locally, and obviously we don't know what November holds, but for planning purposes and what I'm looking at, we're not looking at that on our level either. So just want to make sure we were clear on that.
Great, I appreciate that. And yeah, I do understand for Tony.
Yeah.
Right now, I couldn't justify you having to spend another
Yeah.
day right now with the level of services providing. And I'm just saying
Right,
to look at in
absolutely.
the
I think
future,
as
so-
the county grows, for sure, that's a service that needs to be expanded upon.
Okay. I thank you for your time. Now you go to lunch and don't get wet. Thank you.
Break for lunch in the middle of the storm.
Hurricane.
Yeah. Do we want to cover one more thing before we go to lunch, or?
I'm good with covering that.
We can. I mean, that's completely up to you guys.
I'm not that hungry already.
Well, I'm not hungry enough to go out in that storm.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Okay, we can keep going until it
Well, that
slows
might be,
down. Yeah.
Sugar-free things sound good for the rest of
There you go. Well, let's go ahead and do human
Oh gosh,
resources.
you're great. Yeah.
You can swim out there.
All right. Thanks, Glenn.
Just as a note, general information, I was at a meeting yesterday where the St. Johns River Water Management representative spoke, and she was talking about the dry areas of the St. Johns River Water Management. And Baker County was the only red county out of all the surroundings. There were some others that were orange, but Baker County was by far the driest of the counties. So we're blessed to be getting rain, but we still got a ways to go.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go ahead and do human resources.
Okay, this is a simple one. All right, so on human resources, if you guys look at your summary page, all right, so you'll see the requested budget change primarily is on the personnel services side. Total overall budget increase is $19,134.66. And I will tell you a big portion of that is that our director has decided to enter into the DROP program, and that's where you'll see that in. Obviously, the DROP program has been extended to 8 years, so I've already told her she has to be here at least 8 years. But she did go into that program, which is where you'll see that big increase come from. All right, so in going into operating, all right, so currently there is nothing programmed for travel and per diem. I will say most of the classes that we have been able to take have been offered free of charge to the county for the last few years. So I don't want you to see that and think that there's not anything going on. We've just been really fortunate to be able to do those without a cost to the county. And typically if we do go to some type of class, we're taking the county admin car, and so the fuel and expenses and things like that, we just charge back to admin. Because, like I said, Robin and I and several others usually will try to just carpool to those things. So still happening, we're just not paying for it out of this department. Communications, that has stayed the same at $500, no increase. Office supplies, so this is one of those weird ones too. I think there was an intention to have some money in current year, but maybe it was part of that weirdness with our current budget, the way that it is. But $1,500 has been added into this budget as office supplies for that. And you can see that, in some years she's got very low expenditures, and she tries to keep that. Typically, we've got just any kind of paper, pens, and those types of things that you'll see from that type of budget. But again, adding that back in at $1,500. Operating, stay the same at $200. Again, fuel, it's just not something that's been used, and so even though only $50 had been previously budgeted, we're taking that one out. Training, again, this is one that we occasionally have a class that we might have to pay for. Typically they're all free, but this is, just in the event that we have some kind of specialized class that might have a cost associated with it, that $150 there. Equipment, again, adding in $500 to the current budget, and that's for, we've got a kiosk set up in part of the office for people that work for us that may have need the assistance for insurance benefits, going online and checking their pay stubs and things like that. And that's being able to provide a self-service kiosk for those employees that they may not know how to go through that, right? But that we can get them to sit down and go through that themselves and learn how to use that system. So that's what that $500 is for. And on operating, that is it. I'm sorry. You have any questions so far on that one?
It pays for your fuel.
The Board of County Commissioners would typically pay for fuel. Like I said, if Robin and I go to a class together, we're usually carpooling, and driving the county admin car.
Oh, and
Human
that
re-
comes out of a different budget than
It
this.
does, yeah.
Cool.
So Human Resources doesn't have its own vehicle, and she's not ever typically going to a training that someone else isn't also going with. So,
Perfect.
yeah, we're just not making Human Resources pay for that fuel because it's, like I said, just so few and far between she would need that. Again, nothing on capital for this one, and on the personnel summary increase, again, that was insurance, FICA, retirement, all of those standard increases, the 4% raise, and then Robin being able to go into the drop program, which is, like I said, a big bulk of that cost. Okay, anything particular on personnel?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Do we want to keep moving, or do you guys want to take a lunch break? It's sunny now, so who knows what we'll get in 5 more minutes.
Glenn,
I'm getting a
Glenn
little-
left just in time to
Getting
get
a little
soaked.
lunchy.
What's that?
I'm ready for a little
we
break.
should.
Okay.
It's been a
Well,
long time.
Let's take a break before we start with the library.
Uh-huh.
How long we need?
How long for
Any
Long enough
suggestions?
to eat, at least.
An hour?
Yep.
Alicia, are you okay coming back later? Okay.
I was thinking, was her here?
I know
Yeah, we
that
could do
we
that while
could
she's
Did
do
we just
her.
jump ahead, do her, and then go to lunch?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
no
I would
issues
be
with that.
good with that.
Yep, let's do that.
Okay, all right, so if you guys will flip a few.
I'm good with that. Let's do that.
All right, so if you'll flip a few pages ahead to extension, we'll start with that one. And this one is overall a reduction of $18,338.29.
Dang, I like to hear
Do you want to
that.
talk any more about it, or do you
I
want
was
to
gonna
keep
say
moving?
we're good.
We haven't
One
had
thing I
many of
do,
those.
You got to it.
that's too funny. While you're flipping, we can briefly go over it just so that anyone listening may be interested in it as well. Travel and per diem has stayed the same at $6,000. Slight increase in communications to $3,020, and that is just to be a little closer to what actual expenses are, and that's up from $2,900. So very, very little increase there. Rentals and leases the same. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We did reduce that one slightly at $1,450 now, and we're reducing that down to $1,420. Repairs and maintenance, again, reducing that from $1,720 down to $1,600, just truing that up a little closer to what costs are. Vehicle repairs and maintenance stays the same, $250. Office supplies stays the same at $1,000. Operating the same at $9,000. Fuel the same at $1,000. Slight increase on books, publication, and memberships from $550 to $580. And again, that's just truing that up to a more realistic cost of what our trend has been. Training has stayed the same at $1,300, and there are no other operating costs on that page. Any questions specifically? Okay. All right, no capital purchases. And the increase that I do want to point out, because she deserves a pat on the back, but our director, Miss Alicia Lamborn, who's here with us, actually did get a promotional raise through the University of Florida. Well, she will. We think she will. So we hope she will. How about that? So, and that does not take effect until June, right? So so it's only partial funding, but should she go through and get her promotional raise, we have accounted for that. So she has not. She's been giving the 4% raise and her promotional raise because it's treated separately from there. So. In addition to that, we did have a few changes in her department for staffing at a pay rate change, and that is simply because of keeping a little bit higher than minimum wage. Sorry, I'm trying to find the right people on this page here. So we've got the program assistant and the administrative assistant, so lines 1 and line 4 on your personnel cost, those are county employees, right? So most of your others on this are split between the University of Florida and us. But like I said, line 1 and line 4, they're true 100% county employees. And because of their salaries being on closer to the minimum wage level, we have actually asked for them to receive a $1 an hour raise instead of the 4%. So you get either or in those scenarios. You don't get the 4% plus the dollar on those policy adjustments is what we call those. So I just want to make sure that we're pointing that out because that is different than what we've talked about. And then also, Commissioner Hartley, we still have an OJT position available, so send us somebody good.
Since we're open for business now, we can put somebody there.
Yes, so
It's been
we're
a
excited.
year waiting.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So on the personnel side, I wanted to make sure we pointed that out, like I said, because there were a few issues with that were, different than the standard 4%. Other than that, we've got our traditional insurances, FRS and FICA increases, and that is extension personnel. We good? Move on to Ag Center. Okay. So this one again, you will see a reduction of $7,591.68. And that is going to be, we actually are moving a couple of things around and then reducing as well. So most of that is in personnel services. That's the reduction of our custodian staff in there, and we'll talk about that when we get to it a little bit further in the budget. All right, and going down operating costs, I think every single one of these was exactly the same except for we had one that was a slight increase, and that would be refunds. Every other line item on Ag Center has remained exactly the same from current budget to now. The increase on refunds from $1,300 to $1,500 is only because we have increased the rental rate. So if we did have, 1 or 2 refunds in current year, technically 1 or 2 next year would cost us a little more money because that rate is increased. Other than that, operating is exactly the same. Okay. Any questions so far? All right, capital outlay. There are no requested funding items on capital outlay. And then on personnel, we do have one person, and this is part of what the change is. Previously, we were treating this as like a contract position, so you would have saw that on your operating side. But we have hired this person. It is an on-call position, but to truly identify what that is costing us, we've moved that as an actual personnel position. So it's not new, it's just we're changing which line item we show that budgeted for. And this, again, is an on-call custodian position. This is a person that would do the check-in and outs of the auditorium and clean in between each rentals. And we were calculating more hours. And so Alicia and I, when we've met, we've looked at it, and we think we were a little over funding on that. And to truly get closer to a number that actually reflects, the true hours that that person is going to work each year, you'll see that budget has been made at $8,482.30. And that's, like I said, where that reduction will come from because we had previously budgeted about $16,000 for that. And again, that was worst case scenario that the building is rented every single weekend out of the year, and really we were just not spending that much each year. So reduced to show a more accurate reflection of what it's actually costing us. Okay. Any questions?
Is that total line? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's total. Is there something funky with it? What is it? Is the summary not adding up to that, maybe?
Your summary saying $190,000.
Oh, that last line item there? Yeah, so if you go back to the front page, it's right. It looks like that one very bottom number is.
Yeah, this must have been a typo. It looks like it's copy and pasted from maybe a different page.
Yeah.
My fault, sorry about
It's
that.
okay.
If you go to the actual summary page, it's right. Yes,
It wasn't worth bringing up, but that's why you got the weird look. I was like,
we
"Same
want
one I
to
had
make sure
notes."
we're good. Yeah. Alicia wished she had $190,000 to spend in there.
I don't know if we'd spend it on now that we've renovated the whole place.
Absolutely, yeah. Any other questions about personnel? Okay, that concludes, both of the departments that Alicia's here for, Extension and Ag Center, so,
We have a question.
yes, sir.
I know there was a van requested last year.
Yes, sir. We did not request a van this year. We still have the old van. I think they're not really utilizing it too much. You're using the bigger one from time to
Yeah, a
time.
whole lot, you know, here and there. We don't really feel comfortable taking it much further than like Gainesville.
That's the question I have. Because last year, there was some discussion. And I thought we would see it again this year, and I'm just wondering why we're
Yeah.
not seeing it this year.
Honestly, we've tried to make it work with it. So they have the bigger van. It's what, 16 passenger?
15.
15 passengers. So they have that one. That one's new and it's only 3 years old, I think now. I think it was 2023. I think we got that one. 2022 maybe.
2020.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
longer
it's
ago than I thought.
That's older,
So,
that's what I was wondering.
yeah, so we do have that one and it's in good shape. So they do utilize that van. But just trying to recognize the board's position. Alicia's always really great at doing that. And if that's something that she can do without, then
And I
we've talked
respect-
about
I
it.
respect
Yes,
that,
sir.
I'm not doing that, but what I don't wanna do is put youngins in a van and ain't worth the flip.
Absolutely. The
That's
one,
my concern.
yeah.
We take it at least annually to get a full checkup to make sure it's in good condition. Just with the age of the vehicle, we just, you know, don't wanna take it too far, I
Yeah.
suppose. But most of our, youth activities that we're doing, we take them in the large new van, so that's
Yeah.
not a concern.
Might want to investigate at least what that replacement cost would be.
Absolutely. We could do that.
I have an issue keeping something that we're not gonna use,
Yeah.
if we're not gonna utilize it, we don't need it. If
I mean,
we're
we
keeping
utilize it around town, but like I said, any farther than really Jacksonville, I'm not sure that we wanna, you know.
But to me, it's just not, if it's not safe to go to Jacksonville, it's not safe to be here in town.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, that's true. It's just easier for us to get to that person in McClenny, but you're right. If you'd like for us to look at the cost to buy a new van, again, it is something Alicia and I talked about. We kind of laughed and we're like, I'm not bringing it up, you know, but if it's something that the board would like to entertain, we can gladly get some prices on something that would be,
I know what the
You know.
4-H program does, and I
Absolutely.
know what the Ag Center does for
Right.
children. And I don't wanna tie us as commissioners to tie their hands on the events and the stuff that they do for the children because they don't have the tool. We always preach,
right,
we want to give our people the tools that they need to do their
Mhm.
jobs efficiently.
yeah,
And we have a van sitting here, and we discussed it last year.
yeah,
We have a van sitting here, and we won't drive out of the county lines.
yeah.
We do take it outside the county, but we're just not driving across the state with it.
So, to me, if we're not driving, if we don't feel comfortable driving it, if you get in a vehicle and you don't feel comfortable driving it
Yes,
to Jacksonville, or say, even down south,
mhm.
we shouldn't be driving it.
I have driven it, Commissioner Hartley, it's the van we took to Tallahassee. And I will say not just from, mechanically, but it's got a very small engine in it and it's a heavier vehicle. Just getting on the interstate, I mean, you've got the pedal on the floor and you might be going 45 miles an hour while you're merging onto traffic. So it's things like that that might not even break down on you, but the ability to drive it safely and merge onto 80-mile-an-hour traffic I was a little scared. I actually squealed a wheel at a red light and it was Commissioner Harley on accident because we were on a hill. We had to really give it some gas to make it up the hill, so, yeah.
Sounds like an excellent candidate for replacement if we can.
I agree.
And having an idea of what that would cost would be a good thing.
And I love reductions in the budget, don't get me wrong, and I'm not sitting here saying, okay, let's increase the budget because she gave us reductions in the budget. I'm saying, are we meeting the needs of the department by not putting it on?
Yeah.
I think we were just trying to make it one more year,
Yeah,
but I have to come back next year regardless, I think, so.
So you-
yeah, yeah. So we were trying to give it a little
I
more
understand
time.
what you're
Yes,
trying
sir.
to do, but
Well, and it's gonna make a little bit easier when we see the final with what we're going to receive, then that's when we're going to have to start making,
Yeah.
because let's face it, everybody wants something.
Something, yes.
And it's all went up and I
But
don't
we
know if
have-
we've got the money to do everything.
Right. How about we have the information, and then we get a little closer to the end of the budget. If it's something you guys are comfortable with, then we'll have at least the number to know what we need to
My
fund for.
biggest question was, where was it at?
Yep.
I
Yes, sir.
mean, where was it at in the budget? 'Cause I was kind of, thought we
Looking
would see
for
it
it.
again this year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we're not looking at it. So,
Like I said,
I
Alicia
don't want
was,
it to be, if it's a need, it's a need. If it's not a need, then I don't want to see it.
I would say it's a need, but like I said, in good faith, she was
I
trying to
understand.
limp it another year to get some more out of it.
And I appreciate the guts and the, we still need to look at the needs of what each department has, and then it's up to us to make the decision on whether
Absolutely.
we're going to do that or not.
Yes, sir. We can get it, like I said, if we get to the point in the budget where it looks like we can add it in, then we'll have the number either way.
Okay.
I know we were talking about taking a lunch break, but April just walked in. Her departments are very, very
It
quick
takes
as
her
well.
2 hours. She talks so much, there's no way we could get through it.
If you guys are okay doing that, I mean, it shouldn't
Or
take you
jump.
just a couple minutes for us to do that one as well. So we're gonna flip backwards to the two we skipped, and we'll go to library. Will be the first one. And we will start, oh, sorry, I gotta switch back one more page. All right, so, April, just to keep things moving quickly, I've been trying to move them fast, but April's here for backup. All right, so total expenditures, we actually see a reduction of $10,771.97. Again, that is on the personnel side. Operating, I think, is exactly the same. I don't think we made a single change on that one. But we will flip forward to that page. Keep losing my paper around here. All right, so I think one line item was moved. We had utility service before, and I think we moved that expenditure to electric. But other than that, operating cost is exactly the same. The amount didn't change on that, just the
Did
line
you about
item.
library? The
Yes, ma'am.
$1,000. Remember we moved fuel from state aid to from library to state aid?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think that one's on here. Oh, wait, we reduced it. I'm sorry. Yes, we
Yeah.
took it out of this one. Okay, sorry.
Right,
We're not
yeah.
even thinking. Yes, in current year, under library, we have $1,000 for fuel, but April asked that to be moved to state aid. So we do have a $1,000 reduction on operating because of that. But other than that, operating is the same. I said just a reduction of $1,000 from current.
Yeah.
No capital at all.
No.
And then on personnel, we did have a couple of changes on that one. This is both, let's see, if you'll flip to the second page, the personnel cost detail, we've got lines 2 and 3 have been programmed for a $1 an hour raise, again, in keeping in line with that minimum wage. One of those is part-time and one of those is full-time, but again, those are entry-level positions, and we look at those annually to make sure that we're keeping, like I said, ahead of what minimum wage is. We don't want to be at minimum wage, we want to be above it. So lines 1 and 4 would just get the 4% raise, and lines 2 and 3 would get a $1 an hour raise. Okay. Other than that, no discrepancies in personnel. Like I said, standard FRS and insurance calculation. Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
Alrighty. So library state aid, want to make sure that we point out that the more money that we spend on the library, the better it looks on state aid, because the state looks at that. And that's how they calculate our state aid revenue that helps offset those costs. So it's an algorithm that the state uses, basically, like I said, for the county dollars that we program to the library, we get some grant money that helps offset those costs. So that's the reason why we separate this budget out, is because this is funded by our state aid funds directly from the state. So this one doesn't come from general fund. Overall, we've got an increase of $4,587.27. And again, one of those, without a doubt, is fuel. I think that was the only change we made on operating, actually, was just the addition of the fuel line item. Again, we're just moving that from the library budget to this budget. But you'll see that fuel line item of $1,000. That is the only change on the operating sheet for this department. Any questions? Okay, all right, on capital, again, no request on capital purchases. And personnel, we've got a very similar situation. If you'll flip to page 2. Both of these positions are scheduled at a $1 an hour raise and not a 4% raise, again, keeping in line with minimum wage. These are both part-time positions. They're entry level, but again, we want to keep, some distance from minimum wage. So those would not be programmed at a 4% raise, but a $1 an hour for both of those people. And that wraps up library state aid.
Sean's definitely
Easy
going.
one.
I was trying to think of a joke because she hasn't said a word the whole time. Y'all said she talked a lot.
Most of the time, April will walk in and she'll say, well, you've got my budget. You have any questions?
Right.
Like, she won't even present
Yeah.
it. She'll just say, what do you want to know?
We're
Yeah.
pretty simple. We're people, books, and whatever they put on us that we have to have legally. That's our budget.
Yeah.
And we appreciate every bit of it.
We do. We appreciate April, and we appreciate New River Co-op
They-
as well,
they do
because
a
there's
lot of heavy lifting.
Absolutely.
Yes,
There are a
ma'am.
lot of expenses to the library that the county does not fund. That comes to the New River Library Co-op. So we are very appreciative of their partnership as
One
well.
of the reasons we moved the $1,000 on fuel from library to state aid is because that was in case we borrowed any of the county vehicles to go anywhere, we would be able to fuel it up here. But the New River has a van that they allow us to use now when we need it, and so I would like to be able to fuel that up so they don't have to pay for our gas too. So,
Yeah. It's a great partnership, for sure.
okay.
Thank you, Miss April.
You're welcome. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, April.
If everybody's okay, we will adjourn until 2:30.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We are adjourned.